Here we go.
G'day fans, and welcome back to another exciting Wednesday night with Aaron and myself. We're yapping on about collectibles, and how exciting is this? And I know, just very quickly before we get anywhere into the show, Aaron is like so excited because the new Doctor Who has been announced. Oh my lordy be, how good is that, Mr. Aaron?
It's absolutely fantastic. Finally, we have a doctor whose name I can't pronounce.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit complicated. It's a bit like the actual Doctor's name himself, isn't it? That's some kind of really weird and wacky name. Is that right?
It is indeed. It's never been revealed. But this guy, I think his first name's Cutie. He's Rwandan Scottish. So that's an interesting mix, isn't it?
Did you say Cutie?
Yes.
Well, see, I didn't realise you were going to be playing the Doctor.
Why, thank you, sir.
How exciting is that? So there you go. It's very funny that after all these decades, the three biggest sci-fi franchises in the entire universe are all getting brand new things. So you've got the brand new Doctor Who, good old Star Trek Strange New Worlds came out last week, and of course in a couple of weeks' time, Star Wars, the Kenobi series comes out as well. It is absolutely chock-a-block full of nerdy goodness. What do you reckon, Mr. Aaron?
I thought you were going to say Blake Seven's coming back.
Very good stuff. Now, we've got a lot of people joining us already. So, Ange has joined us and good old Dicko. And this one is a classic. Happy birthday for Friday. So, yes, I'm actually getting another ring around the trunk on Friday. You'll be able to, I mean, for those who see me on Friday, they'll be able to watch me grow older right before their very eyes. How good will that be, mate?
Yeah, well, I'll give you a walking stick on Saturday.
Oh, it's been done. I got a walking stick for my 21st. And the reason why I got a walking stick for my 21st is because a mate of mine who was older than I was, I gave him a walking stick on his 21st. So it came right straight back at me. And I've still got it. Actually, now you can't see the camera, but it was over there. I've still kept it. So there you go. How good is that? Oh, look at this. What's this? From Rusky Babes, rip off the card with Beauty and Grace, say sit in chairs and talk about collectible. Okay, well, what else are you going to do on a Wednesday night? What can I say there? What do you reckon there, Mr. Aaron?
I thought that was going to be rip it off the card, party on, excellent.
Very, very good. Dicko said, happy birthday for me for Friday. Yeah, very, very cool. And I got another Rusky Babes as well. So it's all very good and exciting stuff. So last week we had a bit of a natter about good old May the 4th, you know, Star Wars and that bloody Star Wars. Anyway, that's all in the past now. We're back to the cars. Tonight, part 2 of the cars. We've got a very, very special one that has been requested by one of our viewers that we're going to be putting in. So everybody has to make sure they stick around for that. What do you reckon there, Mr. Aaron?
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? We just did the cars as an off-the-cuff thing because someone suggested it, and it was one of our most popular shows.
It was indeed. How good is that? Christy said, will I be recreate the scene of The Last Crusade, where I chose poorly? Hopefully not. So, very, very good stuff. All right.
No, she's talking about where you give Lynn a rose and kiss her in Venice.
Oh, see, that's how my mind was thinking. I drink some water and I just sort of like age even faster than I am now and then just like to disintegrate. So, yeah, I didn't even think of that, did I? So, yes, very, very cool. Anyway, we've got a good show tonight, guys. A lot of things going on. It's going to be very, very exciting. Anything you want to add in before we move on, Mr. Aaron?
No, let's get into this, mate.
Yay, team. All right, we've got a bit of news. News is always exciting, and let's get into it. Good stuff. So what do we got tonight, Mr. Aaron?
We've got a few different things tonight. I guess it depends what order you've decided to run them in.
Well, it's very funny you should mention that because we just mentioned Star Wars a moment ago. And one of the things that we've sort of discussed in our travels is about Boba Fett. And, of course, I know you're going to be talking about what this action figure is. And I said, even though like the characters had a brand new show and all the rest of it, people are still going to relate to the original version from the original trilogy. And sure enough, that's what we got here. Is that right?
It absolutely is, and people would know if they're Star Wars fans that this is the prototype armor, which is the white armor. It's also known as the armor that he can't put in with the colors when he does his washing. But I've always thought this was actually a really cool version of Boba Fett's outfit. I guess at one stage they thought he was going to be more stormtrooper-like, and then they decided a bounty hunter might be a bit more colorful. No pun intended. I do love this version of the armor. This is an Artifacts Kotobukiya mini statue, so it's only about 10 inches tall. It's got a lot of detail. It's one of those mini statues that you get in about 5 or 6 different pieces and you assemble it yourself. Boba Fett is always one of the most popular characters, and this is a very popular version of his suit. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I reckon it's quite good. And what I do like is the fact that in the cloak, the cape, they've actually put the stripe in it. Now, a lot of people don't even realize, and I'll just highlight, hang on, this
Yeah,
part just here. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that his cape changes color. In the
yeah,
movies, in The Empire Strikes Back, it's brown, and in Return of the Jedi, it's green. But in the Empire version, the brown one actually has that stripe that a lot of people, you don't really get to see on screen that well. And a lot of people aren't even aware that it's there. So the fact that they've put it into this is particularly groovy. And highlighting what I was saying earlier, it doesn't matter how successful Boba Fett has been in The Mandalorian or in the book of Boba Fett. When people think of Boba Fett, they're going to be thinking of the original trilogy version. They're certainly not going to be thinking of the new version with the helmet taken off and Tamara Morrison's face. So, as always, the original is the best. And this has just proven my point, because they could have easily have updated this to the new version, but they've said, nah, screw that. We're going old school. And I applaud them for it. So there you go.
well, out of the two, I would definitely buy this version for my collection for sure.
Yeah, and he looks just way cool. There's no denying that whatsoever, which is particularly groovy. So there you go. So yes, get a chance to check it out. So, and you can paint it your own colours if you want, or you will, and I'm sure some people will do just that. Is that right?
You absolutely can, but I wouldn't if I was you.
No, I wouldn't either. So yes, very good. And I highlighted earlier, but I do like what Rusky Babe said here. It's a white chocolate collectible. So yeah, you too can be munching down on your own Fett, which is particularly groovy. But if you do like a bit of colour in your stuff, you got to go this way. Get a Sub-Zero action.
Yeah, well, this is an unusual figure that you don't see a lot from Mortal Kombat coming out, but this is Sub-Zero. This is a Hot Toys version, and with the Hot Toys, they really go to town on making it accurate, look screen accurate, have heaps of accessories, and have it superposable so you can display your dolls any way you want. Sorry, action figures.
Good on you.
So this one comes with the real look clothing. It's got multiple points of articulation. It's got, like you can see, the ice explosions coming out of his fists, and he can form skulls and things like that. I don't know if you get him, you get a stand so he can do that pose, because there's no way that that's standing like that without some support. But yeah, this is one of those unusual ones that you don't see coming, but is quite a cool figure. I could see this being very popular.
I tend to agree with you regarding the fact that they got the articulation in there, and it's good that they do the pictures to help give people ideas as to what to do, because you get the thing, and you're right, you get it to do all sorts of bloody stupid moves, not realizing you can actually get it to do some really cool things. And I think the way that they do that with these particular photographs is actually particularly groovy. So yeah, I've got to applaud them for that. So giving people ideas when they've got absolutely no idea whatsoever. Just backtracking a fraction before I forget, Ange did say, yes, Jeremy Bulloch all the way. And I think you'll find a lot of fans will definitely support that one. That's obviously Jeremy Bulloch, who played Boba Fett in the original trilogy. So
yeah,
very, very cool. Yes, they're not Ken, Barbie, and but it's very funny. I read that as saying they're not Barbie and Ken, Aaron. I was like, hang on, has Aaron got his own doll? Is he a Barbie doll now?
It's interesting.
Now, that's going to be a doll that comes in a different box. What can I say? So there you go.
It's interesting what you say about the articulation and how they put pictures up of how they can be, because I've got a couple of Hot Toys, and I decided I wanted to position Christopher Lee's Superman like he was in one of the promo pictures, and I just managed to snap his head off.
Very, very cool. And I agree with the Vile. When you think of Sub-Zero, you think of the Sub-Zero from Running Man. So, yes, he kind of I like that one. Silly Vile. That's almost like a comment unto itself. Oh, you silly Vile. Absolutely love it. Very, very cool. Now, this next one, so that's Sub-Zero for those who are interested in your Mortal Kombats, and you can sit and pose him or whatever. And that would be the challenge, to try and get the kicking thing and get him to stand up by himself and see how it goes. Very, very cool. Aaron is a living doll. Oh,
no.
Oh, gee. There's some really bad comments there.
Julie Newmar is the living doll. That's an obscure TV quote for anyone who knows their sitcoms.
But the problem is, I'm going to get myself into trouble for this. When you get a doll, especially if it's a female, the first thing you do is you look up the skirt, right? I mean, you just do that.
Well,
so if you've got an Aaron, hang on. If you got Aaron as a doll, what's the first thing you're going to want? Bad gags.
You check down the pants and see if it's got anatomically correct bumps.
Yes. Oh, look, it is fully articulate. Very, very good. Let's move on. Where are we going with this? All right, so we haven't finished yet. We've got some monster stuff coming up. And the very first one that came up, I thought awesome and crap at the same time.
So this is interesting. It's the Monster Mayhem line, and they've just released sort of a sneak preview. And it's one of the aliens, of course, from They Live, which is what we introduced this segment with. So that's pretty cool.
It is cool. It's cool, but it's crap at the same time. Why would it be crap?
Because it's got Bi in the background. No. I don't know. Why is it crap at the same time?
It should be black and white, dude.
Well, that's true. Yes. So if they, I don't know, if they broadcast it on television, can you see them?
No, it doesn't matter. Whenever you saw them, it was always on with the glasses, right? Yeah. And the glasses were always black and white. I mean, it's being a bit pedantic, right? I mean, you're right. You do it in color, no problem. But we always saw them in black and white, and for that reason, I saw that and I go, "Oh, awesome! They live." Oh, why'd they do it in color? So anyway, I'm just being a bit nitpicky.
That's just a preview. You probably can get the black and white variant because toy companies just love to make you buy multiples of the same figure.
Yeah, or I could have just put it in like a grey. What do you call it? A grayscale sort of
grey
tint on it. Yep, very, very cool.
And this is another one that they've released a preview of, but they haven't fully revealed the figure. And do you know what this one is, Dags?
No, I was thinking Return of the Living Dead, but no, I'm completely wrong, so I've got no idea.
It's actually the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, wouldn't have got that. No.
So, yeah, it's an unusual one that doesn't get a lot of figures. They have had some in the past. It is interesting in Australia. We don't get a lot of Tales from the Crypt, but they've had various TV shows and movies. Everyone probably knows the movies, but a lot of it just bypasses us. So he's a lot more popular overseas than he is locally, but I think he's still quite a good figure.
Yeah, Carol said from Creep Show, but no, apparently it's Tales from the Crypt. Now, this one, Colin has said, upskirting Aaron is so wrong. Oh, no, but oh, so right. And I think the Rusky Babies is pointing out that the They Live figure doubles as Steve Vizard, which is particularly groovy. So, yes, good stuff. Yes, big table. What's that? Vile is a big Tales from the Crypt fan. Cool stuff. Oh, there you go. Run out and buy yourself some action figures, which are particularly groovy. So there you go. Anyway, so that's the latest and greatest toys for that have come out at the moment. Anything you want to add before we move on to something very, very exciting?
No, that's about it.
Good stuff. Well, we've gone through some really, really groovy stuff there, right? Absolutely fantastic. Love those collectibles. But, of course, we've got to bring the tone down, and it's time for this.
Useless Pop of the Week!
So they never seem to end, do they? So what do we got tonight then, Mr. Aaron?
Well, this one is an interesting one because it's more of a conceptually that got away from me. Conceptually useless Pop of the Week, because this was released for Earth Day and the reduction of plastic. Now, Pop, they are the biggest producers of useless plastic on the whole planet. I would actually think, I think all of them should end up in landfill, and I don't know how long they take to biodegrade. So this is from Moana. And the character is the Earth Goddess. I can't remember what her name is. But this was released for Earth Day, and it was, one of those things that was released to celebrate the environment and the reduction of plastics and rubbish. And so isn't that an oxymoron, releasing a Pop vinyl for that very reason?
Yeah, I'll tell you what is funny, and I totally agree with you. And one of the craziest things that have been occurring in the past 20 years is that when they were having Earth Hour, right? So the idea being you turn all the power off in your house, and all the big monuments around the world had all the power turned off. But let's stick with Australia only, right?
Yeah.
So they turn off the lights for 1 hour, Flinders Street Station and the big paper spike in the city and all. Great, awesome, save power, awesome. Then some wag somewhere says, oh, no, let's do the night festival with the lights. I can't think of what it's called now. And for 3 nights, they turn on everything and they leave them on for an hour at a time. And I'm thinking, hang on, isn't the idea of Earth Hour to save power? But then they go, oh, no, screw that. We want to use as much as physically, humanly possible for 3 nights, plugging in 1 million lights all over the city.
It's crazy.
Obviously, the organisers of those events don't talk to each other. Maybe one's the ex-partner of the other one. It's like, what's the deal with that? So, yeah, I hear you, dude.
Yeah. Do you know the real reason they wanted everyone to turn the electricity off for an hour?
Why?
So Automan could do a daytime mission.
You're You're a freaking idiot. Yes, and you are right, Rusky Babes. There were Earth Hour parties. We actually went to a few of them back in the day, and they were pretty groovy. At 1 hour, you turn the lights off, and who knows what went on when the lights were off. Lucky you weren't at one of those parties, dude. When I was there, could have just not ended well at all. Good old yes. Tafiti has let herself go. Well, yes, you could say that, but I totally agree with you. Using plastic to produce a product which is meant to be environmentally friendly is completely cockeyed. If anything, she should be biodegradable, at least the boxes. But yeah, that's just completely stupid. Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, if there's any pop vinyl that needs a dose of weed killer, that's the one.
I'm glad you explained what it was, because I thought, I don't get the reference. But yes, it's just backward logic in a lot of ways, isn't it? So it'd be like making a Greenpeace vessel out of plastic or something. Just like, yeah.
No, it's like making a Greenpeace vessel out of hollowed whales.
Yeah, something stupid like that. It's just not good at all. But there you go. Gavin has said, but she was made from recyclables, but not. I bet you the pop vinyl figure. I find that hard to believe. So
well, I think what Gavin means is he donated all his Yoda figures to be mashed down and turned into the Earth Day figure.
Oh yeah, we could really put the guilt trip on now, Gavin, if you wanted to. Gavin, how much Yoda crap have you got in your house? How much like plastics have been used to produce all those? Oh dear. Yes, exactly right. Especially when you open up the cupboard, there's millions of them, and you go, "You do realize it's going to take 1,000 years for all these to degrade, and the amount of animals it's going to kill in the interim." So, oh, Jesus Christ! Ah, dear, good stuff. Yeah, you're right. Rusky Babes should have made her from recycled jar jars. Yeah, she'd be sitting there going, "Whoa, moist, I love the environment." Very, very good. All right, so there you go. There's the useless pop of the week. Completely stupid, as they often are. But speaking of things that are stupid, we're not talking about the person himself specifically, but it's time for this segment. Alrighty then. So, and I like this one from Colin. Imagine the shenanigans. That's a big word. At the Viles house with the lights off for an hour. Oh, I tell you what, wouldn't that be? There's some violations going on there, I reckon. Oh,
like that movie, Moving Violations.
Yes, exactly right. And even Greg's concerned about it too. All right, so let's talk about what do we got? We got some very, very exciting Star Wars stuff, mate.
Well, hasn't Greg King done some amazing things this year? This has definitely been a much more exciting year than last year. We've had stuff turn up for 3 weeks running, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if people remember this. This is one of those things that started popping up on Facebook. Decks of custom Star Wars playing cards, and you could buy multiple decks, and the more decks you bought, the cheaper they got. Now, they looked really, really cool. There was the black deck, the white deck, the red deck, and the blue deck. They will basically have the same cards inside. It's just different color decks. So I thought, why not? I'll order 2. I got the black and the white deck, and they rolled up this week. And
oh, really?
I probably shouldn't have been surprised by this. They pretty much were what was advertised. So I've opened up one of the decks and pulled out the face cards with all the kings, queens, and jacks, and you can see each one is different. They're from all the different trilogies. I think the coolest one is probably the Boba Fett one, is the Jack of Spades. I did think whoever was doing it had a bit of a laugh, because the Jokers, they made Dio and BB-8, which is sort of a nice touch. These are probably pretty much exactly what was advertised. Their photographs using the lighting and probably enhancement probably made them look a bit more sci-fi and trendy. So when I open them up and they're just, packs of playing cards, they're not quite as exciting as what was advertised. But I have to report, sadly, that these turned up quickly, were exactly what was advertised, and I can't find anything to criticize about them.
Yeah, considering they're just printed cards, you'd think it'd be hard pressed, printing, to have these completely crap looking. But I've got to say, now that I'm really looking at them, they're actually pretty groovy, aren't they? I like the fact that Mon Mothma is the queen. I reckon that's kind of groovy.
I thought that was funny. They've used every single woman in the Star Wars universe. Padme, Rey, Leia, and then the next one down the line is Mon Mothma. Maybe they could have used Mon Mothma. That's the giant moth that fights Godzilla in the rebellion. But they could have used maybe Jin. But yeah. I thought it was quite well done. Quite a good set.
maybe they're just focusing on the saga movies only. But you're right, Christy. They actually look good, and yeah, it's kind of thing. It's hard to actually screw up when you sit and think about it. But and Greg's not happy when he gets good stuff. So there you go. Actually, Gavin, you're right. Jar Jar would have made for a better Joker. So yeah,
That's
but they've
true.
stuck with the problem is you've got two Jokers, and if you got Jar Jar on one, what do you have on the other? So at least in this case, you've got two droids that no one really gives a rat's ass about. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. That's
it's
true.
good.
So yeah, they turned up in the week, and they'll be in the shop because they obviously have no defects and look pretty cool. So they're all good.
Gavin's Arch, which card is Yoda? That's the 43rd card, so it didn't get produced. So
Well,
yes.
actually, the Ace of Spades is Yoda, but it's Yoda after he was stepped on by an AT-AT.
Very good. Okay, yeah, exactly. Good stuff. But yes, if you want to get into it, yeah, absolutely cool stuff. So yeah, well done to the guys who produced that. So nothing worse than getting good stuff for Greg King's Cheaper Things. But having said all that, we've still got the issue dealing with good old Ronnie, and we've got a little bit of correspondence here because don't forget Aaron's still waiting for his Hobbits home. Anything you wanted to read out here, old son?
Yeah, there hasn't been much exciting from Ronnie. I'm just keeping him on the hook with the occasional message. Maybe I'll get a date out of it at the end of this. Hey, Ronnie, is there an update on my order? I'm really looking forward to my house for hobbits and can't wait to receive it. Do you have a tracking number? All the best, Aaron. And then I got back. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for your inquiry. Your order has been posted and should reach you super fast. I'm sure you will love Little Home for Hobbit and that you will want to buy stuff from us again. Feel free to leave a positive review and let other shoppers know about our excellent customer service. All the best, Ronnie. Do you think he could keep a straight face while he was typing that?
Yeah, you do wonder. So, for those who don't know what's going on, there's been a back and forward saga for a period of time with Aaron and a purchase item where he's supposed to have received a Hobbit home, which is on the photograph, and he hasn't received it. And because he's buying from some dodgy dude in like Thailand, good old Ronnie. And I like the fact that he's just said it's been posted, should reach you super fast. That's as far as it goes. He's not saying, yep, it'll be there in a couple of days' time. You've asked for a tracking number. He hasn't given one. God knows what's going to happen. So,
Well, the thing I find
absolutely fantastic.
the thing I find suspicious, this was meant to be sent at the same time as my Maltese Sparrow, and that turned up super fast, but this didn't. So I'm wondering if there is any home for hobbits at all.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Aaron ordered a Maltese Falcon replica from the movie Maltese Falcon, and it turned out it was so small, we call it the Maltese Budgie. So, unbelievable. Very, very good. Yes, and we've made a bit of a joke about good old Ronnie. Yes, he's obviously a Ferengi for those who know their Star Trek. So that actually leads us to what you've ordered, what you've got coming, and all the rest of it.
So we've had a bit of stuff turn up. You can see the Maltese Falcon up the top there. Actually, that has arrived. It was a much more smaller, diminutive Falcon than we expected. We're still waiting for their Hobbit home. We're still waiting for our little shop of horrors, Audrey 2 mini replica. We've ordered some light up dioramas from Alien and Halloween, and we also did the trifecta from Indiana Jones and ordered a Staff of Ra, a Grail diary, and a stone from Temple of Doom. So we've got a few things rocking up, all from AliExpress, I think. So hopefully we can have a long relationship with Ronnie as he explains why we fail to get stuff, get sent the wrong items, or don't get anything at all. So we've added the cards into the garage sale there with the gaming stuff, which was meant to be the Jumanji game, but turned out to be a pissweek Snakes and Ladders. So if you want to play Who's Who and Where's What, you can enlarge that picture and pick out all the things we've ordered over the last 2 years.
Couple of things. So going back to the cards, Deb, good to see Deb joining us tonight. Is said she's got Salacious Crumb as the Joker. That actually kind of works quite a laugh because Joker's laughing. Yeah, I get that. That's pretty groovy. Gavin has said that Jabba would need 2 cards. I do like that actually. But actually, they both kind of laugh, but they laugh completely differently, don't they? So there you go. Yeah. Yes, and you're right, Aaron. You must leave positive feedback. Impeccable customer service. For those who've been following this saga for the past few weeks, I mean, it's just been a complete joke. I mean, what they've sent and the correspondence has been absolutely terrible. But that's what makes this segment work so unbelievably well. So there you go. But I tell you,
in this case, impeccable means the beak's so small it can't get anything.
Yes, exactly right. Rusky Baby said, "Is the stone from the Temple of Doom?" Yes, is the answer to that question. Sankara stone, if I think they're called. Nerd. Very, very cool.
They're actually what's her name? Shikara. Because they're small and humble.
Very, very good. Yeah, the vials, right? Wouldn't it be ironic if Ronnie ran a Facebook show about how to scam collectors? Unbelievable. Yes, you too can learn from the best. Tell you what, who is the best though? And you can always learn from this dude. As we discussed earlier, if you're having an hour in the dark with him, of course, it's the Lord Vials Vial File. How good is this? Where are we at? Oh, hang on. Aaron, we want to see a t-shirt. What are you wearing tonight, dude?
I'm wearing everything, really.
Oh, very good. Yeah, lucky. Don't stand up any taller. I don't want to know if you're wearing pants or not. So there you go. Very, very cool. All right.
I am wearing pants just for you, Dags. You complain too many times about me not wearing pants.
Exactly right. All right, the Lord Vials Vial File. What are we talking about tonight, Mr. Aaron?
Where would we be without the Lord Vial? He's the cornerstone of the show with his segment that everyone tunes in for and wants to see what he's got in his collections to share with us. Well, we got a letter this week. I don't think it was from Mr. Copperat himself, but it's from Peter Smith. Dear Lord Vial, I found your fantastic segment on Facebook and loved your record collection. Will the vinyl vault ever feature again? If it does, here are a couple of records I think you could feature. All the best, Peter Smith. So Peter has sent me, he sent me more albums than this. These are the ones I could basically show. It's the famous Beatles Butcher cover, which is an album that was released in the USA and was instantly withdrawn because it had the Beatles posing with meat and cut up baby dolls, which they thought was a bit of a joke, but didn't go down too well. So that's one of those horrible LP covers. Now, there's another great one here. I hadn't seen this. This is one, Dags, I'll have to get it and you can come over. Music to massage your mate by.
Oh, is that what it says? Oh, I couldn't read the bit underneath. Oh, massage your mate by. Oh, there we go. So who wants to take a number and wait in the queue for that one?
So that one did make me laugh. That one's quite funny. And then there's one of the raciest Beethoven classical music covers I've ever seen. Now that is a pair of Beethoven busts right there, isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly right. I was just thinking where it says massage your mate by. I said, don't you worry, Mr. Aaron. I know how to get into all the hard to get places.
Yeah, just this time leave the steel wall at home.
Don't worry, dude. There's always time for lubrication. Oh my God, bad.
Oh, no.
All right, very, very cool. All right, so you want to talk about what the Vial's got in his collection? Is that right?
Yep. So we've already had one vinyl vault that we did last year sometime, and someone's seen that and wanted us to drag more records up from his collection. So this is the Vinyl Vault Volume 2, and the Vial has done some themes. He's done some themes like bad hair or fantastic hair, and nice.
Actually, you know what the worst part was? Christy said, "Damn boys, look, Christy, we're broadcasting at the moment."
Yes.
I haven't got a reaction to that. Good on you. Oh, you're a bad dude. All right. Where were we?
Show us your timpanis.
Yeah. Anyway, get on with it.
Okay. Well, we're going back into the Vial's Vial record collection for the Vial Vinyl File Volume 2. And I think we've got some excellent records that are even more vile than last time around.
Now, let's see if people can say they got these in their collection.
Now, we've gone for a bit of a hair sort of collection for the first couple. Now, these are some impressive hairstyles, aren't they? I mean, the first one is a beehive that the B-52s would really envy, I think. It's one of those styles that, you use an entire can of hairspray to get it to stay like that. Obviously, to go to church or something, I would say. Usually, a lot of the Vial's vinyl collection is of sacred songs and things like that. Now, the one in the middle is quite interesting because I have never seen that hairstyle before. It's like Max Headroom crossed with I don't know, one of the three tenors.
Oh, I was going to say it was a test case for Wolverine.
Well, you see those Bollywood movies and they pop up on that could be the Bollywood version of Wolverine. You're absolutely right.
Like this, yeah, Wolverine and Ferret along the roof. Exactly right. I was thinking with the beehives, how do they get hair like that? Is that actually real hair? Do they actually? I mean, and like the afros, I can never figure out how they got that style. So I was like,
it is a mystery, isn't it? I don't know if it has to do with the old salons that used to have those really huge things that would like brainwash you or whatever into getting a hairstyle like that. The one on the end is interesting. It's kind of a beehive, but it's kind of a conical beehive. I don't know. It's another in His Holy Name, so it's another Songs of Faith album. It is interesting how the covers of the Songs of Faith album, they really are humble in that they don't really care how they look, do they?
Yeah, because if you can't read it, the album cover the album title is called "The Joyful Sounds," and it's definitely the joyful sounds of their hairstylists working on their heads. So, but yes, Wolverine released a record. How good is that?
It gets better though, doesn't it? I mean, some of the hairstyles here, you kind of, what were they thinking? I guess you've got the first one there, which is, I guess, the closest one to sort of what you could be walking around as a normal hairstyle. The middle one there with the white hair, I don't know what's going on in that. That almost looks like the head from This Island Earth.
Actually, you know what I was thinking? It looks like a younger version of Donald Trump.
No, it's not. His face is not orange enough.
Yeah.
The one on the far right is kind of I guess Andre the Giant looking. I don't know, mutton chops Andre the Giant, short afro with glasses is the only way you could really describe that. And the one down the bottom, which is the hardest one to see, is really impressive because not only have you got the massive beehive, but then you've got really long hair coming down the front as well. So she's doing, like, if it was in the Olympics, a combo of a couple of different moves all in one album cover.
Yeah, I know. Too much to gain to lose. That okay, make of that what you will. Yes, very very good. How good is this? So these who knows what the albums are like? Actually, chances are the albums are probably outstanding. But when you first look at them, you'll be going, yeah, I think I'll pass on that and get the next one. Oh, here is the next one.
So the Vial was kind enough. One of the sections in his record collection is toys and ventriloquist dummies, and it's always a selling point for old albums, isn't it? When you find one with some nice ventriloquist dummies on, and kids looking horrified, or women looking at them quite fetchingly, I guess.
It's the first of the rip it off the card fun factoids. Beehive hair. There you go, using hairspray. Oh, really? And a lacquer. So well done, Mr. Rusky Babes, for telling us that. Well done.
Yes. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun factoids tonight. That was the first of many. Have you got any fun factoids about Mr. Dress Up?
Yeah, what's the deal with this dude up here? It's just, I don't know. You gotta wonder, don't you?
Well, the more you look at that, the more wrong it gets. It's called Mr. Dress Up. He's got two kids' toys, and then he's sawing up some wood. Now,
yes, these guys are next on the block.
Well, he's got the dog holding his wood, which I don't think you can really have on a kid's record, can you?
I mean, what would they do as a record? I mean, it's a visual medium, so what happens then?
Well, I tell you what, ventriloquists always look perfect when they are on record.
Anyway, love it.
And then we've got the little Marcy with the toddlers there, and little Marcy, I guess, is the demonic-looking doll that could be Annabelle in the center. It is obviously corrupting the Christian couple who are probably doing another Songs of Devotion thing there. And then you've got to the right of that.
Please turn over the other side.
You've got I actually heard that when you release an album like this, often the ventriloquist dummy goes solo and drops the other people because he's the best person on the album.
Yeah. So what's the top right-hand corner? I mean, whose hand is up who at the moment?
I think each one has a hand up someone else, and you just have to work out whose goes where. It's like, when you went into McDonald's and they give you those mazes and you had to join up, like the three different things. On these record covers, you have to join up like whose hand goes where. maybe not at McDonald's on a tray table.
Now, I mean, there's a reference here to, like, Strassman and all the guys who've done ventriloquist work, and that's cool. I mean, they've got the guy with the dude or the lady with the dummy and all the rest of it. But I have seriously got to ask, what is the deal with this?
That's
right.
love.
That's a very, very contented looking dummy, and I don't mean her either. In this picture there, Eric, I think it is there. It's like, what is the deal with that?
I don't know. Like he's got some. Yes. He's where is the dummy looking? That's what I would be asking. Keep your eyes up. I would be saying to the dummy there.
I mean, I don't know. I'd love to actually want to see what happens. Does she talk and the dummy talks too? And in fact, it's a male dummy and she's obviously female. It's like, you do wonder what the deal is. So, and I agree, Thomas. How did the marketing teams come up with this? It sounded like a good idea at the time. So, yes. Yeah. Yes, Christy, you don't want to know about the fetish. All it is, these are albums. Who knows? They're probably very good, very entertaining. But I tell you what, the cover images leave a lot to be desired.
Now here's one that the Vile sent me, and it was like people who should not be on album covers. Now you've got the Wilkins there. That's like it looks like one of the Meatloaf family. Yeah, it looks like someone who actually eats a lot of meatloaf, actually. So you've got the Wilkins there. And again, if I see that on a CD or a record, that is not the one I'm going to go and pick up and be intrigued as to what it's about. What do you think of that guy?
As I said, could have done for a better picture, that's for sure. And I agree with the previous one. Amen. What was the deal with that? With the lady and the dummy there? So, yes, a young Meatloaf, but it does actually look like him, and it could easily be. If you actually changed Wilkins' name and put Meatloaf's in there, people would believe it's the real thing. So, anyway, move on.
Well, I don't think he would be Meatloaf. He'd be stuffed crust pizza, actually. But the planets there is an interesting one because that. I think that's meant to be a parody cover. They obviously didn't think that was going to be like the next Flash Gordon picture right there. I do like how the girl is like positioned just so you can get like the direct up skirt. I mean, of all the pictures they took in that photo shoot, that was probably the worst one, and they said yes, go with that one.
Very good. Moneybag Sullivan said, "Is the bottom one Aaron's album of choice?" We'll get to that in a second. We've still got the top left, top right to do. Trumpet Party. How good's that?
Well, I don't know, but like I think those girls have been paid a bit too much to look like they're having a party from what they're actually going to be receiving when they play the album. So the Trumpet Party there is one of those where you look at the album, you go, maybe that's a good album. I haven't actually looked these up and listened to any of them. Maybe they could all be excellent ones that'll go on my Spotify.
Yes, exactly right. So very good. And you're right, these girls enjoy the horns. But you do wonder, don't you? So the bottom right-hand corner, was it Bare Naked Banjos? Oh,
I know.
There you go.
I thought the Vile was going to have something a bit more contemporary with the Bare Naked Ladies, but the Bare Naked Banjos, and it looks like that the guy can do some banjo picking with his feet there. He's like can handle 4 banjos at once, and you've got to be impressed by that, haven't you?
Because you're listening to the record, who knows what the hell the guy's wearing when you listen to the LP. So lucky it's not a YouTube video. What can I say, which is particularly groovy stuff.
Well, he's the only he's the only man on the planet that can play dueling banjos with himself.
Yes, exactly right. Now, so before you go any further, I took the middle picture out because I actually did find it offensive. There's no fault to you, but I actually was really unhappy with it because it was some kind of a dude with a magical pony, and the horse, it's a real horse, looked like it had been starved, and like you could see the ribs and everything. It was horrible, so I didn't want to see it again, so I've removed it from the image. Okay,
it actually was a pony head on a toy Pegasus body.
Was it a real horse though?
No, it just looked like a really weird horse.
I thought it was a real horse, and I thought that's actually animal cruelty. So I thought, no, I'll put that on. So.
No. The Vile definitely does not endorse animal cruelty. Slap a kid around the head, yes, but not animal cruelty.
That's what kids are for, slapping around the head. Anyway, get on with it.
Okay, we've gone back to the ventriloquist dummies again, and this one looks like he's a hard nosed dummy who is into the smoking and the drinking, and he's got his I guess his ventriloquist in the glass. I don't know how that works really. Maybe the dummy is controlling him.
Actually, I like that cover. The fact that the dummy he's got the dude in the glass. So that works for me actually. So yeah.
The other one up there, Adventures of Uncle. Is it Colin?
Cousin.
It's behind our logo. Oh, cousin. Is it Uncle Cousin? I just look at that, and yeah, I'd like to know what adventures he does go on. Possibly like Luke when he leaves Tatooine. I don't know, but you look at that, and that album could mean anything. But the one down the bottom is one of those lounge music ones that has a bit of a play on words, which isn't offensive to anyone. Jonah Jones, I dig chicks, and you've got like the construction machine actually digging up girls.
Yeah, I reckon that's grouse. That's actually very, very clever, actually. So that kind of works for me. So, although I do wonder how this one over here is like just hanging out off the edge there. So, yeah, they look like they're actually high in the sky, but no, I like that. I dig chicks. I mean, clearly it's not the kind of thing you could release today because a lot of ladies would be very upset about that. But anyway, it worked at the time. I don't know if Jonah Jones is female or not, but if Jonah is a female and she says her album is I Dig Chicks, well, you can make of that what you will.
Well, it means she was ahead of her time. Can you imagine at the end of that shoot, though, when they go, okay, just drop them in the construction site?
Yeah, exactly right. Well, anyway, but I like the gag of it. I reckon it's actually all very, very good. So what, hang on, I just got to push my button here. So there you go. And this is, I think, one of the, where we go with this, dude?
We're getting to the, for those that are bored, we're getting to the end of the vinyl vault. Here's a couple of party ones. There's Atmosphere. You can't really see it. The Atmosphere is Sad Clown, and the guy that's playing has actually got clown makeup on, but like a sad clown. But obviously, it still means that the ladies like his music because it hasn't scared them off at all. I would think if someone was in the middle of a park with a piano dressed as a sad clown, you would not pull up a picnic rug and start listening. You'd probably call the police and get your children out of the park, wouldn't you?
It's probably Ronald McDonald after he got sacked.
Yes. The Simmons, The Touch of God. Now we've always had The Touch of God, and He Touched Me on this. This is a different one that we didn't have last time. It looks like their whole family has been touched, Dags.
It does indeed. And you got next over the day, Anchors Away, eh?
Well, this is really interesting because you see these and you think there is no way that these albums were hit, but Anchors Away and Ship Ahoy is the sequel to it. So it was popular enough that after they made Anchors Away, and there's two kids and again one ventriloquist dummy, they made another album. So it was a hit. I don't know where it was a hit, but it was a hit somewhere.
Captain Hook and his crew. Make of that what you will. Absolutely unbelievable. So what are you trying to tell me about the Viles record collection in vinyl, Mr. Aaron?
Well, I think we lost a slide somewhere there, and it was one of the better ones because along the top there you can see the last lot, which was Godzilla Sings, superheroes, and the heroes on it are really not so super looking. Lurch Goes Latin, which is an Addams Family one, and it's a follow up to Do the Lurch. Elvis Spock, which I don't know if is a real album or not. But I thought it was too good not to include. And then the Lurch, that was the original that the Lurch Goes Latin was a follow-up to. Anyway, this is some of the albums that the Vile has collected and shared with us. And what I'm trying to say is because they're in his collection under his roof, they have all been well and truly violated.
How about that? We got there in the end. And Rusky Babes, after spending 109 hours typing out a message about good old Ronald McDonald, dude, we are way past that already. We're already moving on to the next section. So look at this. Even the Vile say sometimes he amazes even himself. What can we say? Very good stuff. All right, so yeah, sorry, we did miss a slide there, but yeah, don't stress over it, guys. All those albums are worth getting, and of course, you put those covers on the wall, you make beautiful wallpaper, and everybody will be
coming soon to op shops everywhere.
Absolutely. What's to say? All of these are more disturbing than any Black Death melons. I suppose that's completely true too.
Yeah.
But anyway, they all once graced the JB Hi-Fi store once upon a time. I'm saying that as a joke because JB haven't been around that long in comparison to some of the LPs. So there you go. Very, very good. And Christy's actually looked it up. I've seen what you mean about the horse. Oh, okay. Yeah, very, very good. All right, now we're going to move on to something a bit more interesting and obviously a little bit more interactive for the audience. So let's get into it.
Ooh, baby, do you know that's what...
All right. So what are we talking about tonight for this, Mr. Aaron? If I can get my
Well,
button here.
it's a bit of a crowd pleaser and a fan favorite. We are going to be looking at Lego.
Yay, team. Bloody Lego. So there you go. So for those who, I think most people are pretty aware of the situation, these are all sold items. Just write down what you think they sold for. The horse was in the final slide, was it? I thought it wasn't. Oh, okay. So there you go. But as we discovered, apparently it was a fake horse, which I'm rather pleased to hear. Ange has already put in a bid, and you haven't even seen the first item yet. We're talking about Lego. So look at this. Yay, Carol's excited about it. Gavin's excited about it. Yay, team. Put in your bids, and away we go. What do we got first off, Mr. Aaron?
Now, this is really interesting because it's one we talked about 3 weeks ago. This is the free Luke Skywalker with blue milk that came with the Star Wars Lego Adventures game that Rod is actually stuck on a level because there's a glitch in the game and he hasn't been able to progress for 3 weeks either. So this was given away about 3 weeks ago for free at EB Games. It cost you $59 to get the game, and this was given away for free. So this is a free figure. How much are they now selling for on eBay?
Very good. So Ange started with 152 before we even got the image up, so I will allow him to change his bid if he wants to. Gavin said 350. Moneybag Sullivan has 150 bucks. They're giving away these things away for free, kids. Rod, got on Mr. Rod, who we'll be discussing in a few moments' time. 120. Christy said 70. Carol is at 90. Colin is at 50. No one's putting in a cheap bid. They're all going pretty high. 75 for Thomas. Violating good old Fluky Luke as one should is the Violet 50. Bob is at 25. Rusky Babes, 10,000 bucks. Absolutely love it, mate. That you can actually buy the machines that build these things for that price. And Vile has come back again. He's increased it by an extra $5 to 55 bucks. Jonathan, good to see Jonathan joining the show. 125. No one has said it's only a couple of bucks. How crazy is that? Remember, they were giving them away for free. Keep that in mind, kiddies, which is particularly groovy. And William, who mentioned earlier, which I didn't put on the screen, has come back from a party, 130 for him, which is particularly good stuff. All right, so it's the Lego Luke Skywalker minifigure, Oh, it's the blue milk. Yeah, okay, I suppose it does. So very, very cool. With the blue milk exclusive minifigure, it's in the bag, the poly bag, bullshit. What do you reckon it went for, kids? A lot of high bids came in for this one, and there were 16 bids for this. Holy guacamole. It went for a whopping $142.50. That is complete shit. What the hell's the deal?
So do you know what I did, Dags? I saw that. I whacked mine on for $150. Buy it now, and I sold it instantly. So I got my game for free, and I got the next game as well.
Unbelievable. Is it because of the blue milk thing?
He's got a blue milk mustache around his face as well. So yeah, it's a unique brick that'll only be available. And because it was only available as a giveaway at EB Games in Australia, of course, worldwide, people are having a meltdown trying to get it.
No, William doesn't win because Daniel he gets $8 back. So whereas William has to cough up $12. So yeah, Moneybag Sullivan. How about that? You were the owner of some blue milk. Yay, team.
Do you know who
was good? Star Wars fans are sick. Yeah, well, it's a bit not far from it. So there you go.
Do you know who was pretty good? Angelo was pretty good, getting $10 off without even seeing the item.
Yeah, exactly right. So yes, well done. Yes, you're just $2 over the winning bid that Moneybag Sullivan put in, Mr. Ange. So well done. How good is that? Well done. So there you go. That's just, and you said they were given away for free.
Yeah. So
there you go. Yes, you're right. Luke and his bilk. So that's just absolute madness. That's how you call you. Yeah, you're right. Cashing in. Do you wish you had a few more of these that you could have offloaded?
Well, each one you had to buy a game to get it, but yeah, I could have easily. Yeah. Here's another one, the Penguin, another poly bag, sealed, hard to find. This one's from one of the sets, the Penguin, and you get a miniature penguin, a robot penguin with dynamite. So much cooler than Luke with blue milk. How much would you pay for this one?
Yeah, I know what I would say, and that would be, yeah, I agree, Gavin. 5 cents. Yeah, it means nothing to me at all. So from 5 cents to Carol's 180 bucks. Christy said 10 cents. So that's what you call, that's an interesting sort of financial scale, isn't it, to work on?
It
Moneybag
really
Sullivan
is.
said 25. Andrew said 160. Yeah, I mean, is there anything particular hard to find? Why is it hard to find there, Mr. Aaron?
Because it's so small.
Oh, really? Okay, very good. Very good. I just got that joke. Colin said $3. Violating the penguin is the vial at 25. I can do that because the vial once went to a party dressed as the penguin, and all night he just went. Thomas is $8.50. Just round up to $9 for me, dude. Bob has said 75. Rod has said $6.97. William has said 10. Jonathan, he's thought about it. Yeah, $45. So it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? So hard to find. As soon as you put in rare and exclusive and all that, the price theoretically goes up. So we'll have to wait and see if that's actually the case at all or not. The Penguin foil pack. Yeah, you're right, Gavin. It's like the Australian budget, up and down like a fiddler's elbow. Penguin foil pack, new sealed, hard to find. How much do you reckon it went for? Did it go as high as Fluky Lukey? It went for one bid only. Went for a whopping $6.
So,
Anything you want to say? Well,
no, I think Rod got that one. Maybe it is.
Yeah, he gets $1 back too. Yeah,
obviously not as hard. Well, not as desirable as the milk with. If they'd given the penguin blue milk, maybe he would have gone for more.
Yeah, exactly right. Unfortunately, the old hard to find in the description just didn't cut it, the mustard. Oh, look at this, kids. Oh, holy guacamole. Aaron, did you salivate when you see this?
I did. Both of us would have, because this is the items that when we were growing up, we would have loved to get. This is from 1979. It's an original beta command base as opposed to the alpha one. This is brand new, never been opened. It's new and complete. When you look at the other pictures, all the Lego's still sealed and not played with. This was the stuff of dreams for little boys in the late 70s, wasn't it, Dags?
Yeah, this is. I didn't tweet that there was an alpha and a beta. I just thought there was the one base. But yeah, that is very groovy. I've got to say. So, yes. Oh, Gavin's gotten a bit excited. There you go. It was a bit of the old, but from my perspective, that was like looking at pictures of it. I could imagine playing with it more than actually ever owning it, because I could never own anything like this. But yeah, I mean, the fact that someone's still got a mint and condition one, that's pretty groovy. So, what do you reckon?
Yeah, no, that's a pretty amazing piece. That's the type of thing I'd love to have in my collection.
Very, very cool. All right, so the dollars are creeping up now. So Andrew's gone 16.52. Moneybag Sullivan's at 12.50. Collins at 6.55. Christy, who's obviously thinking that Lego isn't her deal, is at $1.50. I think that's not going to happen. Violating good old Lego Spaces, the vial at 5,550. Gavin has said 5,000. Jonathan, who's very, very excited, 2,200. Bob is at 1,200. Thomas is at 3,400. Kelvin is at 2,500. No one's going cheap on this one. Even Greg King isn't chucking $2 in for this. Carol's at 1,290. Rod is at 1,900. Don't forget there were 20 bids for this. So there you go. William, and he actually had it at 1,500, which is particularly groovy. Yeah, you're right. Stuff that dreams are made of. Well, that's pretty much true. When things like this pop up, I mean, I can imagine all the Lego collectors just going losing their load over this big time. Yeah, so it looks very groovy in the fact it's brand new, 1979. Love the old original Lego logo. That is particularly groovy, I've got to say. So good stuff. Very good. I like it. Kelvin has said he actually had one of these back in the day, and it might be in pieces in the shed. Well, you never know. If you get those pieces back together, you might be able to resell it. 20 bids. How much did it go for? 1979. The beta command base, it went for a whopping $3,110.
Now that's a lot for Lego bricks, isn't it? Especially as most of them are generic bricks you can get from other pieces. But it just shows you the power of nostalgia, and also the fact that not much old Lego was not open. So finding stuff from this era that has never been opened and is in box is incredibly hard to do.
And that just goes to reinforce my theory of never opening anything up. So I think Thomas may have this, and he still gets through some $300 back, give or take. So how about that? Well done.
Did pretty well on that one. That's the piece everyone wants tonight, right there, and you got it, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how something can appreciate and value that much over the decades. I mean, how much did this thing cost when it first came out? Do you remember?
Well, the big spaceship was $90. So I reckon this would probably be about 70. There's not as many pieces, but it's sort of the same size box. This was one of the pieces I could never afford anything like this. I could get the little sets of Lego, anything that had lunar plates or the figures could fit inside ships was too expensive for my parents. So that was a nice toy when it came out that a lot of people would have loved to have.
Yeah, and I don't know who had the foresight to buy one and leave it mint in the box, but yeah, that's definitely you're right. As Rusky Babe said earlier, stuff that dreams are made of, because that's like out of complete nowhere. Very, very cool. That is something you could show off to someone and say, "Look, paid $3,000 for it, but look how grouse that is," and everybody would respect it, which is particularly groovy. Speaking of respecting stuff, 1979 for Lego was particularly groovy. Let's wind the clock back even further to the 1950s. What's the deal?
Now, this is a really interesting one. This is a 1950s box Lego system set, Volkswagen two-car garage. And you can see the instruction booklet is on the back. So that's the garage you get. It's like an E you make out of Lego. And then you put a couple of bricks on for the roof, and you've got a Volkswagen two-car garage. And you don't even get to build your Lego Volkswagen. Lego gave you two that were kind of like matchbox cars that you could put in your Lego garage. So there you go. In today's terms, if you got that Lego, there's about $4 worth of Lego pieces there.
I agree with Gavin. Yes, Lego does live forever. I can't imagine it disappearing anytime in our lifetime. So, yes, so long as they keep buying those franchises and producing those products, they're going to go from strength to strength. All right. So 1950s boxed Lego system, the two-car garage, but without the cars. So very, very groovy. This is going to be a bit of a brain strain for a few people. Colin has said 1,100. So I think Ange was first. 950 for Ange. Colin is at 1,100. Gavin is at 478. Carol's at 980. And the good thing is these pieces will still fit modern day pieces. I don't get it. 15-second bill. Okay, I thought that was a bid. 780 for Kelvin. Moneybag Sullivan said 50. Jonathan said 700. Williams at 400. Violating the Volkswagen Beetle is the Viola 2,500. Bob has said 800. Thomas is at 650. Christy has said 2. Well, you never know, actually, with these things. So it's a particularly groovy stuff. Now, I don't normally post YouTube links, but Rusky Babes has mentioned the Magic Portal. And for those who love, you'll have to do a rewind on that, do a search on it. It was actually a Lego movie, animated movie made in the 80s, I recall, in Perth. Right, and it is like one of the best animated Lego movies. I was in like physically animating the what is it called, frame by frame stop motion animation is in the Magic Portal. Go and check it out, kids, if you haven't done so already. After our show, of course. All right, so yes, good stuff. All right, so 1950s box Lego system just to set the Volkswagen two-car garage. Who would have thought of putting this on eBay? Well, people did, and what did it go for? It went for a whopping $1,275.
That's a lot of money for the Lego that's there. Now, there's two reasons this might have gone for a bit. One, because it's an old Lego collectible and you really don't see any boxes from this era. The other thing, there are people who collect Volkswagen memorabilia.
Suppose, yeah. Even though you don't see a Volkswagen. Yeah.
Yeah. There are Volkswagens in there. I did the back of the box because it was actually a better picture than the front of the box. As the
Very
main
good
photo.
There you go. Yeah, Colin's got it. Well done. It's like, yeah, a sacred. Yeah, no, it's hard to imagine. But you got to remember, guys, I guess the bricks. It's for Lego collectors, old time collectors, not like you'd physically build this thing or not. So, yeah, well done. So, how about that, kids? What do you reckon?
Yeah, an amazing piece of history for Lego collectors, but not as exciting as the Beta base.
Yeah, you wouldn't physically build this, that's for sure. So, but there you go. But Lego, in its even old school stuff, is still around. That's the most important thing. All right, down to the last item. Oh, here we go. Good old Captain Britain in this case.
Super popular brick set at the moment, or brick figure. This is Captain Britain, who appeared in Doctor Strange. Spoilers, sorry. But yes, we've got Captain Britain there with her shield. And you can buy her separately in this auction. Is she a brick that will go for a lot, or is she just a little brick that will go for a couple of bucks?
And you are right, Christy, regarding the previous item. You are paying for the box, not the bricks. Yes,
Yeah.
totally agree with you. And it's the nostalgia side of it rather than what's actually in the box. Completely true on that one. All right, so Captain Britain. Yeah, okay, from the new movie. So that's what you call buying it and getting it online as fast as you physically possibly can. Andrew said 85. Colin said 5. Moneybag Sullivan said 80 rather. Carol's at 250. Violating Captain Britain, interpret that any way you want, is the vile at $15. Kelvin has said 3. Jonathan's at $2.50. Oh, Greg King has decided to stick his nose in. That's in the garage sale at $2. Ryder said $9. He's used to pricing stuff at your store, dude. That's why he keeps going 95 cents. Thomas has said 95. Gavin has said 57. William has said 10. Is she going to take a leaf out of Fluky Luke's book? Christy has said $1. How about that? Bob has said 30. It's all very exciting stuff. Brand spanking new. When I said Captain Britain, I thought, hang on, it looks like Captain Carter. How did they get that one wrong? But now I know why. So, very, very good. One bid. Someone just walked straight in and said, yep, I'll have that. Thank you very much. So what did Captain Britain go for? Brand spanking new from the new movie. Was it like Fluky Luke, or did she just die a horrible death? She went for a whopping $5.
Did we got someone say $5, I think, didn't we?
Yes, Colin again. He's nearly batting 2 for 2. Well done, Mr. Colin. Right on the money, son.
You know what Colin has? He has a brick empire.
He does indeed. Very good. So what do you reckon? Just a bit too soon for this?
I think it's just a new set, so it's available at the moment. And Captain Carter is a popular character with a lot of fans. Maybe doing the Captain Britain variant didn't get as many people wanting it. The thing is, if you're searching eBay, you would search for Captain Carter and you wouldn't search for Captain Britain. So they should have put Captain Carter in the title as well.
Yep, totally agree with you. So they're screwed up on their own marketing. All right, now before everybody decides to bugger off and leave us, do a William and go and watch something else, it's time for us to plug a commercial. We've got to do this because it's very, very important. Now, we mentioned this last week that there's actually something happening very exciting next week. Well, just to give you a bit of a heads up as to what's going on. So a brand new series that is being released on Tuesday, Toys on Trial. And their premiere episode for the guys is all about Masters of the Universe toys. Now, Rod, who's watching tonight, is going to be heading up the lineup of presenters with himself and Michael. It's going to be absolutely spantabulous, broadcasting live from Aaron's store at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. So make sure you check it out and have a look and give the guys plenty of support. Their premiere episode. How good is that? Oh, look at this. Gavin said it sounds like fun. So, yes, totally agree with you. So we thought we'd just make sure that people are aware of it. This is the first of 6 episodes. And, yes, if you like your Masters of the Universe, you've got to give them a bit of a look in. So, yes, exactly right. It will be cool. Good stuff. So there you go. So what do you reckon about that, Mr. Aaron?
I think it will be a really amazing show. I will definitely be there to see what the guys are talking about and participating as well.
Very good. And Sarah's just popped in right at the last second to say, yay, Rod. Very good stuff. It can't be any worse than this show. Well, that's exactly right. So,
it doesn't have the vile file, so it really can't be any worse than this show.
Yeah, and Andrew's already said love it, but no, he's already pissing off because he's got a dull and dreary night that night. So there you go. I love it when someone actually says, oh, I'd love to, but I'm actually not going to be there at all. He's doing a William on us. Oh, no, too busy, got better things to do. So there you go. Moneybag Sullivan is on the schedule to watch. Yay, team. Good stuff. Speaking of, hang on, what? This is what you were hinting about at the store. Yes, exactly right. So they're going to be actually broadcasting from Aaron's shop, which is particularly groovy. Speaking of things that are very, very groovy, it's actually our presentation for tonight. We're going back to the old sci-fi and pop culture cars, mate. Part 2. So where are we at to, Mr. Aaron?
Well, it turned out that there were just too many unanswered questions after the first episode. So we're going back to the garage to lift the bonnet on another lot of movie cars and TV cars. What do you think about that, Dags?
I love that one. Lift the bonnet. Absolutely. We're not going to lift the hood because this is an Australian show. But, yes, we're going to lift the lid, as it were, and see how things are going. And we've got some absolute classics tonight carrying over from a couple of weeks ago. And, of course, we're starting off, if I can press the right button, with a bit of the old James Bondy, mate. The Lotus Esprit Turbo.
Well, yeah, we started off the first show with James Bond, and the most famous James Bond car is, of course, his Aston Martin. But I would argue that this is the second most famous James Bond car, and it was only in, I think, 2 movies. It was famously destroyed because, yes.
That's all right. I was thinking it was just the one, but I could be wrong. So, go on.
It got destroyed in its second appearance, where it had like anti-burglar glass, and they went to smash it, and it just blew up, and they ended up in a Citroen after it blew up the Lotus. But this is its most famous appearance in The Spy Who Loved Me, and it is, of course, famous because it's the car that turns into a submarine. And if you are thinking of movie cars, that's got to be one of the most iconic ideas that they've ever come up with.
Yeah, it was very, very clever. I mean, that is just pure James Bond all the way. And I'm sure a lot of people have said, "Oh, we're going to get me one, get me one of those," even though the mechanics of it don't even try and figure that shit out. But it was absolutely fantastic. So yes, very groovy.
So, of course, when any car captures the imagination, especially when it captures the imagination of all ages, you get a lot of merchandise produced for it. The James Bond producers who made a lot of the cars and merchandise during the 60s, 70s, 80s would, of course, Corgi. And Corgi brought out different versions of this. I was always a bit disappointed with the Corgi one I had, because it had 007 printed across the front of the hood bonnet. And I always thought, if I was a spy, I would not want the 007 logo on the front of my car. So it wasn't exactly accurate like that. But boy, it was a good toy. It fired the missiles out the back of the car, which in the movies shot out of the water and hit the helicopters. At a push of the button, it went from a land car to the submarine and back again. So it had a lot of playability, and it was just a great imaginative car, and it was one of those cars that everybody remembers as soon as they've seen it. And it even has that little joke when it drives out on the beach and Roger Moore winds down the window and drops out the fish. Yeah.
Here we go. Moneybag Sullivan has decided to chuck in a fun factoid about the fact that they're just the shell of the Lotus. Yeah, and I wouldn't have thought they're going to put a real Lotus underwater, dude. They are very expensive cars, even today. But I did like the fact that I think with the bigger model, you could actually get the wheels and pull the wings out, as opposed to the toy one, which you couldn't. But it was definitely something you could easily market and merchandise. That's for sure.
Now, this is the last James Bond car we'll be looking at in this series, but for those who are collectibles, the very middle shot there of the magazine and the car is the James Bond car collection, and boy, they pumped out a lot of cars. If it was sitting in the background in one shot, they eventually made that car for this magazine collection. What's interesting, and why I highlight this, is the Lotus, they actually made a couple of times. They made the submarine version, the land version, and the driving out of the water in between version. So they managed to get 3 cars out of the same car for that movie, which is interesting. You can see they've made it in different scales. So they've got the Matchbox scale. Yeah, sorry, Dag.
Go on.
Yeah, so they've got the Matchbox scale, and the one underneath in the center came out for the 50th anniversary, and that one actually, you push the button and the wheels rev round and it plays the James Bond theme and everything. So the Lotus has been really well represented as a toy for the amount of screen time that it actually had, which is just one movie and a couple of minutes in another movie.
Yeah, so obviously Rod's been watching too many American reality TV shows. It's the bonnet, dude, not the hood. Just like it's the boot, not the trunk. So, yes. You do wonder if Lotus themselves actually sold more car. I mean, obviously, a Lotus Esprit is not the kind of car anybody can just buy. But you do want a lot of car companies, when they put their vehicles in movies, do so for the idea of promoting them. I mean, with the Avengers movies, Audi have just stuck in a whole lot of concept cars in the Avengers movies, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, and with the idea of producing them and actually selling them. And of course, a lot of people go, "Oh, I've got to have one of those." And so I don't know if it helped Lotus sell a lot more cars or not, but hopefully it did. So yeah,
it actually did. It would have been when we talk about the DeLorean, there's a whole lot of high-end sports cars, but as soon as you get your car associated with a movie, then you get that edge against some of the other ones. So it definitely helped Lotus sales at the time.
Rod said he's practically raised my movies and apologizes. Yeah, I know. It's very funny. I mean, my other half watches home building American shows, and she's now saying backsplash instead of splashback. So I was like, no! And parking lot. No, it's a car park. Oh, I know. We get corrupted by the American ones.
got to get the drywall ripped out.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, so you can talk about sports cars, right? And you're absolutely correct. You see a lot of cars in movies, and you go, "Oh, mate, I've got to go around and buy me one of those." And of course, Moneybag Sullivan, who's watching this, will go, "Oh, yeah, I've got to get myself a Ferrari from Magnum PI." But this is one car you can't exactly just run down the street and get because it doesn't exist.
So yeah, we featured the Batmobile last week, the 66 one, or in the last show. This is the 89 one. Now, out of the two, I love them both. I probably wouldn't say I like one better than the other. The 89 one is, I guess, on the more sci-fi concept car side of things. If you saw that driving down the street, you would not think that it was a normal car. It is definitely the Batmobile. It is so big. It is quite a slow car in real life, and it is so heavy and so long. It is quite hard. It doesn't do corners very well, apparently. I've seen the real Batmobile at the Smithsonian Institute. It is absolutely huge, much bigger than an ordinary car, but it is a fantastic design, and the team behind it made one of the most iconic Batmobiles they ever made. What did you think of the 89 Batmobile?
Yeah, it was funny, isn't it? Because in the movie, he says, "Get in the car," and Vicky Vale says, "What car?" And then you show that, and you go, "Oh my god!" Yeah, it's unbelievably impractical, but it just looks really, really cool. And I know the people who spent a lot of time and energy making the damn thing, it kind of worked. And I think it became iconic almost from the outset. But yeah, you're right. It's a vastly different car to the 60s one. Funnily enough, there's a guy in Sydney, I have heard, who was able to get some of the original parts molded from the original car and build a street legal version of it. And he actually has it kind of ruins it. But on the one of the bits that curves around the front, he actually has the New South Wales number plate stuck on it. And he was actually legally allowed to drive around the streets, but I think since then it's probably been retracted. But he was actually using original parts. I don't know where he got him from, but I did see the picture of him and I thought, oh, that looks really, really cool. He's using it for parties and all this sort of business. But yes, in terms of a vehicle, and of course this is now like almost 30 years ago, it still stands out today as being, in terms of Batmobiles, probably rates as number 2 behind the 60s one. I can't imagine anything but rating higher than that, and well deserved too, I've got to say. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So here is some more shots of it, and down the bottom, that purpley looking shot, that's it in the Smithsonian Institute, and that's a photo I took myself when I made my family go around looking at pop culture stuff all day. So that's the original. You were saying about the guy got parts. It is interesting for movies like this that you think are so iconic and they would look after everything. There are so many of these cars made. A couple of them wound up in fields because they were damaged in the movie and no one thought they were worth restoring, so they got dumped. So I have seen, I don't know how many they made for the movie. I think it was like maybe 3 hero ones and about 12 other ones. But I have heard that there was a couple turned up just rusting away in fields, which would be like a bonanza if a farmer found that on his field. It's like a Ukrainian finding a tank.
Good on you. The key thing is that when a new car is released for a Batman film, how the audience react to it is really important, right? And when the car comes out, like for Batman Forever, people said, mate, the thing is stupid. It's got freaking blue lights along the side and the back thing wobbles and whatever. And the one in Batman Robin was complete shit, open top, and it was just crap. So if the audience has rejected it almost from the outset, then you know it's just a dead entity, right? But I don't know anybody who saw that, the 89 version, to say, oh, that's crap. No one did. Everybody loved it from day one. And I think it wasn't until Batman Begins and they produced the Tumbler that people will say, okay, we've now got a new car that we really love. But up till then, the 89 version was the ants pants. And that's always a good sign from the Batman aficionados go, yeah, that works for me. And that's the key thing about it. So
I even love how they brought it back in Batman Return, and it was the same car, but it had new features, a bat missile down the middle kind of thing, and stuff like this. Now we're getting into some of the toys that were produced. Now, you've got to remember when Batman 89 came out, toy producers did not know if it was going to be a hit or not, because up until that point, superhero movies were kind of a bit more jokey and a bit more tongue-in-cheek. Even Superman wasn't as dark as Batman. So there wasn't a lot of contemporary toys for when it came out. Dads would know because he collected a lot of this stuff. But the original Batmobile, I think there were 2 versions of the Toy Biz version. There was the standard version, and then there was a special edition that came with the sort of shell that goes over the top of it as well, which is in the bottom middle there. I only saw the standard version in Australia. I don't know if the second one was sort of a later release that only came out in America. Did you have both versions?
Yeah, I mean, all the ones that I'm looking at here, I never saw this one, the model kit up there, the AMT kit, and this
Yeah,
one here. I've never seen either of those. But the other one, the one at the bottom, and these guys, yeah, I have those. So yeah,
yeah.
but I don't know
So
what this is up here. Yeah.
yeah, so no, they're all model kits that they released. The Batman '89 Batmobile was quite a popular model kit. So long after the other merchandise had stopped being produced, the model kits were in production, and they changed from company to company, basically using the same molds because they were popular enough for them to be in hobby shops. And you can see at the top there is the die cast Ertl collection,
Yeah.
and there was quite a few in that series, but the Batmobile was obviously the coolest.
Yeah, totally agree. So yeah, very, very cool.
Now we come right up to date here. Recently, they have made a Ultimate Collector Series Batmobile Lego from the '89 Batmobile, which is a very nice Lego set. But if you want the Ultimate Batmobile, you can't really go past the Hot Toys version. It is as big as a what, Dags?
Yeah, you had this in the store, and the box was so large you could put legs on it and make a coffee table out of it. It was
Yeah, it
ridiculous.
is a
And
huge,
yeah,
huge, very sexy piece.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a huge replica Batmobile. It's at 1/6 scale. It has electronics, so it lights up and the brake lights go and everything like that. It's in scale for the action figures, so you can actually fit the Hot Toys Batman in it, and you can drive it around your 1/6 version of Gotham. Now, there's some smaller versions up the top there, and they're more of the ones that are aimed at the adult collector because they're a little bit expensive, but they're also more of a scale that you can keep. So I think they're 1/36 scale, and you've got just the Batman and the Batmobile from Batman, and then you've also got the iced version on the right there, which comes on a little bit of a display of the icy streets of Gotham. So they're all very cool toys based on a iconic design from a classic movie.
Yeah. Gavin said, I like it when he says shields, and these like CG shields out of absolute nowhere come and cover the car up. And you go, yeah, that kind of looks a bit dorky, but hey, it works. That's the most important thing. Yeah, you are right. Does it have a functional shield? Exactly right. Yes. Rusky Babe said there was a die cast of the Batmobile show bag that year, and it was great value for money. I'm glad to hear that because I've got one of them. So yes, very good stuff. But if Batmobiles aren't your cup of tea, and you go, you know what, that's probably a bit unrealistic. I want a car that I can modify that existed in real life, where you can't go past. Good old Herbie.
Yes, and this is one of those projects for Spankin, isn't it? Where he probably would modify a Volkswagen and do all the crazy stuff. Now, one of those classic cars growing up that kind of had its own personality was Herbie. Herbie was getting into all kinds of adventures, whether it was crazy zany ones or trying to get its owner to hook up with a girl or something in the love bug. But Herbie is one of those classic cars that was in many movies and still has toys produced of it today. I didn't put the I think the last movie with Lindsay Lohan there, but they have made more recent movies and TV shows, and it's had appearances in other things as well. So Herbie is one of those classic cars that a lot of people love.
Effectively, if all you need is a Volkswagen Beetle, and providing it's the right color, right? You can stick all the stickers on, and nobody's going to know the difference. Just people are going to identify it straight away, which is particularly groovy. So, yeah, it's definitely the way to go.
Now, Herbie has been merchandised all through the decades. The original movie came out and toys came out straight away. So there have been toys around of Herbie for 40 years. It wasn't one of the most prolific cars. There's certainly not as many Herbies as there are Batmobiles or Aston Martins from James Bond, but it's still one of those that's popular with kids because Disney was one of those companies that would release the movies at the cinema and then they would get a life again on television with Disneyland and being shown as movie of the week kind of thing. Herbie and The Love Bug is one of those sort of shows that everyone grew up with. The movies came out about every 5 years, and there were 5 of them originally. And like I said, there was a 20-year gap, and then there was a new one that also did really well. The merchandise I've concentrated on is the original Herbie, the Volkswagen, and you can even see the car in the middle there does have that split in half function. So they even did the ones which Herbie's different features are part of the toy. They've done, as you can see, the Hot Wheels Black Series one that's sort of in the middle on the right there, which is that same sort of scale as the Batmobile was for sort of more adult collectors that want an accurate, decent-sized car to sort of sit on their mantelpiece or in a cabinet as part of their car collection. And as I was saying earlier, there are a lot of Volkswagen collectors, so this sort of goes across into different areas.
Yeah, that one on the right-hand side in the box, any bigger going to be 1-to-1 scale because Volkswagen Beetles aren't exactly the biggest cars in the universe. Funnily enough, the Viola said when he was a kid, he had a blue Herbie. And actually, funnily enough, when I was a kid, we actually had a blue Volkswagen Beetle as well. I mean, at one point, there were more Volkswagen Beetles in the entire universe than there were human beings. I mean, that's being a bit facetious, but you know where I'm coming from. Cracking a bit of a joke. Oh, here we go. There had to be a fun factoid in here somewhere. I haven't even read it, right? I love it when he writes War and Peace. So popular. So Superbug. So yes, very, very cool. So yes, all you need is a Volkswagen Beetle, which to be fair are pretty rare these days. You don't see many of them around. But if you can get one, all you do is just stick all the stickers on. No one's going to sit there and criticize it. And if young people recognize it, then you know you're on a good thing. But yes, even I knew a mate of mine. He had a cream-colored Volkswagen Beetle. He stuck the stickers on. Looked fantastic. And you just go, that is just herbing around with one of those, as was mentioned by Christy about someone driving around in Warrigal with them. Can't go wrong. And Thomas said he was a favourite growing up. So if you can't get yourself a Volkswagen Beetle, and to be fair, they're a bit hard to find now, maybe you can go the alternative route and go, this is where we do have to have the hood and the trunk because we can go back to American cars, god damn it. And of course, if you're going to go for an American car, you can't go past the old Bluesmobile because it's got cop tires and cop shocks, but the cigarette lighter doesn't work.
And probably not a good idea to pick your brother up after he's been in prison in the Bluesmobile because it's a bit disrespectful. But
it's a police car. And if you want that poster, the Tonight Only, I actually had a mate of mine who had one of those and he deliberately stuck it upside down because that's what Ray Charles does in the movie, which is kind of groovy.
It is, isn't it? Blues Brothers is probably... everybody knows the Blues Brothers. It was a cult movie that's still shown in revival cinemas like the Astor and the Westgarth. I've seen the Blues Brothers at the cinema more than just about any movie because if you went dressed as a Blues Brother, you got in for free. So once a month, I'd go and see the Blues Brothers for free at midnight at the Valhalla, as it was called back then. The Bluesmobile, yes, cruises around Northcote. There are some guys that have a replica of the Bluesmobile, and you do see it on the street from time to time. And the guys have come into the shops that I've managed and bought stuff with the Bluesmobile out the front, which is very cool.
So for those who don't know, there used to be a cinema in Richmond called the Valhalla, a very old, iconic cinema, and they showed the Blues Brothers like virtually, if not every week, every month. It was just went on for year after year after year. It just became this thing. But they had to shift cinemas from Richmond to Northcote, which is like, an extra 15-something kilometres away. So what they did, which I thought was absolutely ingenious, they got to the movie in Richmond, stopped the movie halfway, everybody drove over to Northcote, got themselves seated in the new cinema and just picked up the movie from where it left off. And they finished it that way. And that's how they transitioned from one cinema to the next cinema. And I thought that was absolutely ingenious. So, yeah, very cool.
It is one of those things that just doesn't happen anymore. It is one of those very cool things that you had to be there to know about. It was a one-night thing and it'll never, ever be repeated. Were you at that screening?
No, but I did hear about it. Yes, exactly right. And you're right, Christy. It's traumatized school kids. Especially if their teachers happen to be nuns. So yes, exactly right. But yes, and you're right, Gavin. It was a brilliant cinematic idea. I was there for when they had their 10th anniversary or 5th anniversary or whatever. They had a cake made for the Blues Brothers, and it was like full of alcohol. I took one slice of that. Go far out. That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah. So the Blues Brothers, I thought, was the movie that had the most cars destroyed. There were 104 cars destroyed, and most of them, the majority of them, were destroyed in two scenes. There is a couple of police chases which just have absolute mayhem with cars driving on top of cars and cars smashing into cars, while the Blues Brothers just drive along nonchalant and not really care about what's actually going on around them. But it isn't the movie that had the most cars destroyed. So right in the middle of this segment, I've organized a little slide that tells us what movies had the most car mayhem in.
Yeah, exactly right. So remember, they've got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and they're wearing sunglasses. Hit it. All right, but before we show you, did you want to hang on? Which order did you want to show these in? The cars that have been destroyed or the toys?
We'll do the toys first. So the next slide is toys. I
Very,
think.
very cool. So even I wasn't aware of this, that the Bluesmobile actually had toys made for it, which was actually really, really groovy.
There's been a lot of toys over the years. I mean, it is just, I guess, a police car, but the more accurate ones come with the giant speaker that you can put in the on the top of it for when they were going around spruiking their show. And what I do think is very cool, when we were talking about how many police cars were destroyed, there are a couple of sets of the Bluesmobile that do come with 4 police cars, so you can actually recreate like the blockade and the crashes that were involved in the movie. So the Blues Brothers is an interesting movie because if you're a car enthusiast and you love car movies, it's great. It's got great music and it's a great comedy as well. Plus, it's got Carrie Fisher.
Exactly right. And in the trailer, they actually promoted the fact that you remember her from Star Wars. Now, one of the questions that Rusky Babes has asked, has anybody actually seen the sequel, Blues Brothers 2000? I certainly have not and don't choose to do so.
Yes, and do you know why it was called Blues Brothers 2000?
Because it was made in 2000?
No, it was because John Landis was referencing his other movie, Death Race 2000.
Oh, okay. There you go. See, Christy didn't even know there was a sequel. Yeah, you're right, Christy. There was, and it sort of came and went, and maybe people just swept it under the rug. It's a bit like the sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show, Shock Treatment. That sort of just went under the, flew under the radar as well. Yes, and Rusky Babies has agreed. Yeah. So there is Bluesmobile stuff. You can probably get a version where you smash it to pieces because at the end, when they shut the door and all the bits break off, which I thought was a magic moment. I don't know. That was absolutely fantastic. But if you want to talk about cars that have got destroyed in movies, and this one, I didn't actually even realize this, but here's a bit of a list for you.
So these are the most cars destroyed in movies. And the Blues Brothers is in there, and even the Blues Brothers 2 is in there, which is interesting. But the top 10 are Bullet, the old Steve McQueen movie where there was 80 cars destroyed. And considering that's from 1968, that would have been a really expensive movie to make at the time. 9 Gone in 60 Seconds, the 1974 original, 93 cars were destroyed. More cars were destroyed in the original version than in the remake of it. So that's an interesting little fact. The Blues Brothers is at number 8 with 104 cars destroyed. The Blues Brothers 2000 had 105, and they deliberately did that to say that they had a bigger road toll in that movie than they did in the original movie. I don't remember there being that many crashes in that movie, but I haven't seen it since it came out, so it's a really dim memory. Now, the ones on the top of the list kind of surprised me. G.I. Joe, the movie, had 112 cars destroyed. I do not remember that movie have car smash mayhem in, to be honest. A Good Day to Die Hard is at number 5, and it has 132 cars destroyed. Now, I do remember there were a lot of cars destroyed in it, but not 132 of them. Interestingly, The Junkman. I have never heard of that movie, and I've never seen it. Have you seen it, Dax?
No, never heard of it.
That had 150 cars destroyed. So I read up a bit, and it wasn't a really expensive movie to make, and it was bombed. It's actually quite a boring one to watch for 150 cars destroyed. We start upping the title now, the total. Number 3 is The Fast and the Furious 5. It had 250 cars destroyed in it. But we're getting up to the really high ones now. Matrix Reloaded, which I do remember a lot of cars getting smashed on the freeway, had 300 cars destroyed. And the number one movie for car mayhem and destruction is Transformers 3. And there were 532 cars destroyed for that one. Now, the interesting fact for that, they got most of them free because they were water damaged and written off. So they got insurance company written off cars to destroy 500 of them on film.
So my question would be, are they on-screen crashes or are they like retakes? So they do like a retake, and they put that total together. They on-screen
I'm not
crashes.
sure. That is an interesting question because it just says how many were destroyed in production. So that probably includes all the different takes as well.
Yeah. So for those who don't understand where I'm coming from, so if you have a car that gets destroyed in one scene, but they film the scene 500 times with a different car every time, that's 500 cars destroyed. Even though on screen you only see the one. Don't know. Anyway, it's a lot of vehicles that someone had to sort of tow away. So there you go. Speaking of cars that get destroyed, one of the coolest vehicles in a movie was a particular car that could repair itself. And I don't know if you're bad to the phone. Oh, was it bad to the bone? You're bad to the scone, or you're bad on the phone. You can't go past a bit of the old Christine. Yay,
So
team.
Christine, I think, was mentioned on our last show. I think Gavin maybe said, "Oh, we've got to have Christine," and I thought we should have, but we didn't have enough places to squeeze it in. What Dag said was correct. Christine could regenerate and heal herself. And what is interesting, the 1958 Plymouth Fury is actually a rare car, and there were collectors that lost their nut over this movie destroying 3 of them in the process of the filming, because the real cars do not heal themselves. They're a write-off. And what they did, and you would probably know this, Dags, when they healed themselves, it was actually they had suction on the inside, sucking it all in, and then they rolled the film backwards to make it look like it was self-repairing.
Yep, that's exactly right, and that's the thing. And in the end, I mean, for those who really know their cars, they did actually use different versions of the Plymouth Furies, and they didn't exactly get the exact ones the whole time. But on screen, nobody knew the difference. But it was kind of funny because at the start of the film, all you got all these white ones, you got this one red one. You go, oh, that just really stands out. And yeah, it was a very sexy beast, and I know a lot of people, whenever they see, especially like even in things like Ghostbusters, as soon as you see the front of the vehicle, you go, geez, that reminds me of the front of Christine. It's just something that's just embedded in your mind and you just can't get it out, which is actually a good thing.
Yeah, for car lovers, it is a very iconic car. And I mean, even if it wasn't in the movie, it'd be an absolutely beautiful car. The fact that it's possessed by a demon and kills people makes it even cooler. It is really one of those stories where, you know, a boy in his car, when, you know, they say some men are in love with their cars. Well, this was a mutual love, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, actually, that's a very interesting way of looking at it too, because a lot of guys and people, male, female, get really attached to their vehicles, and it's like an extension of that. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. So there have been some toys, not as many as some of the other toys, because I guess it is a bit more specialized. But there have been various scales of Christine, from the Matchbox size, smaller ones to the larger ones that are really nice. They do reissue them maybe every couple of years. She is a harder car to find. When they do release them, they tend to sell out pretty fast because there are a lot of people after it, not just movie fans, but car enthusiasts as well. If you've got a vintage car, you can't really go past a cherry red 1958 Plymouth Fury, can you?
Totally agree with you. And if you ever have one, you got to herb around and playing a bit of old-fashioned music, that is the way to go. So, yes, an awesome movie. And the fact that you do see the version when it's on flames and it's driving down the street and chasing the dude, you go, oh, that is just grouse.
Yeah.
Good.
So Thomas and the Vial and everyone else who suggested that the other week, that was a good choice. The interesting thing about that, a lot of the cars on this list are beloved because they're modified and they have bits added or do something special. Christine is just a car that is very cool for looking like the car it is.
Totally agree with you. But, you know, if you want a vehicle and you go, okay, we'll just get a normal one and we'll just slap a really, really cool paint job on it. And it too can become iconic right before your very eyes. Of course, it's got to be your old mystery machine. And remember, if the van is a rockin', don't bother knocking.
That's because Scooby and Shaggy are eating, Dags.
Ooh, Scooby snacks.
Yeah. So we're moving away. I guess this one crosses over from to movies to TV shows. So we're looking at some of the iconic cars from TV shows that we didn't look at last time. Now, this is interesting because it's a cartoon car, and the cartoon is so iconic and so popular that they eventually have made movies, TV series, reboots, different versions of the car. Scooby-Doo, I would say, is one of the most popular cartoons ever. It was first released in 1969, and there has basically been some iteration of Scooby-Doo on the screen every year since. And even when they have a couple of years break, it comes back and it's popular again with another generation of kids. So Scooby-Doo is a top favourite of mine, and the Mystery Machine is a very cool van. And like Dag said, it's if it was a beaten up old white van, it'd be like a really spooky looking car you wouldn't get into, but you whack a hippie paint job and put some flowers on it, and it's everyone's favorite ride.
Yeah, well, I think the flowers and that represent the 60s and, you know, the old hippie era. And Chrissy said there's one Herman around West Gippsland. Well, you know, like, you know, as the old saying goes, why drink and drive when you can smoke and fly? So there you go. But yes, vans so you don't get vans like that style in Australia. They're definitely a very much an American thing, but you put the right paint job on them and you'll have people flocking to you as well as the toys.
I notice a kind of a pattern happening with Christy. She knows where all the cars are. You know, you've got the Herbie
Yeah, out in
that
the sticks. Yeah.
yeah, so she's a bit of a car spotter or a train spotter. But that's really nice that when you can see those things. I've got to say, I have seen the Mystery Machine around, and when my son was little, when you saw a car like that, it was the coolest thing when he was a little boy to look out the window and see the Mystery Machine on one of the other cars that someone's done up. Now, Scooby-Doo, the Mystery Machine, because they've been around so long, there are lots of different versions. And we've looked at Scooby-Doo as a show earlier last year, but here's some of the versions that are mainly aimed for kids. They've done a Playmobil version of the Mystery Machine, and they've also done a Lego version of the Mystery Machine. So obviously it's a popular design for kids because they wouldn't make so many different products at such a young age group if it wasn't. Do you like the Mystery Machine, Dags? It's kind of the same color as your shirt.
Yeah, just yeah. I mean, if I saw it in real life, like for the movie version, that appeals to me more than say the cartoon version. But yeah, it's all pretty gritty. I mean, I wouldn't drive around like that myself personally, but someone who did, everybody who picks up on it, go, oh, look at that. I mean, it's once again, it just has instant pop culture appeal to anybody. You get to deck one of those out and have it at Supernova and Oz Comic Con in a heartbeat. So it's definitely the way to go. So there you go. And Thomas is already heading off to East Gippsland to go and check out Christie's one. So yeah, very, very cool.
It is interesting when you get these cars and they're more popular than the celebrities at Comic Con and you want the photos taken with the cars, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
So here's some other versions of the Mystery Machine. And I guess it's one of those cars that's quite easy to make a nice replica of. So you've got the cartoon versions there, and there's been, over the years, many different versions of the Matchbox toy. And then underneath the Matchbox toy, you can see they've actually brought out the Mystery Machine in scale with the action figures who kids can collect. So you can have a Mystery Machine to go with your action figures. Up the top right, you've got the Mystery Machine that came out for the movie, the two movies with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr., which, again, kept pretty much the same design. And I really like how they don't change the design and go with the original. So it sort of is a very collectible one because not a lot of the movie merchandise sold as well. And then down below, again, they've done the sort of $100, $200 die-cast prop replica version for more adult collectors. So if you love Scooby-Doo, there is a Mystery Machine at every price point and every collectability for you.
Now, I've got to put these up because he must have spent hours typing this up. So Rusky Babes has come out with the old fun factoids. The Scooby Gang were based on characters from the old Dobby Gillis show. So there you go. And while he was typing that, he chucked in another one, all right, from Scooby-Doo, voiced by Casey Kasem. Yeah, we knew this. And American Top 40 for decades. And I remember you listening to that too. Good old Casey Kasem. So very good stuff. And right next to that is Christie's got a local festival, the Mystery Machine Park next to a black Chevy Impala, as one often does. So, yes, a very good stuff. Everybody loves a bit of mystery in their Mystery Machine.
Well, interesting because I was looking at doing that car from Supernatural, but it didn't fit into this show. So,
and a completely I'm going to have a laugh at this. So sorry, Kelvin, you kind of missed the boat on this one, but you didn't miss the boat. I saw the African Queen at the boat show. Okay, we're talking about the Mystery Machine. We're talking about cars. He's come up with the African Queen, a boat. So,
Mystery Machine, African Queen, they rhyme.
Exactly right. So, yes, very, very cool. Got to get those fun factoids in there somewhere. All right, now, once again, what happens when you produce a car that does exist in real life but doesn't exist in real life? And, of course, to try and get one of these made is next to impossible, but they're the coolest looking thing around, even though most dudes wouldn't be seen dead driving one. Of course, it's good old Lady Penelope's Fab 1.
I know. So this is one of those iconic cars that I don't think a lot of people always remember, but this was one of the biggest cars through the 60s. The six-wheeled pink Rolls Royce driven by Parker for Lady Penelope as part of the Thunderbirds team. It is a very iconic car, and it is, again, one of those that has endured the test of time where even though they've done reboots and reimaginations of Thunderbirds, the original is by far still the best.
Yeah, I did hear for the movie, it was a Thunderbirds ago, they tried to build a real one, and there are black and white pictures you can get of that because, for Jerry Anderson and all the rest of it. But the problem is they said the weight, it was just too heavy to move around. It wasn't very practical at all. But they did produce it. It did look good. And you are right, being a pink Rolls Royce, just I think it was the 6 wheels that did it. If it had
Yeah.
had the normal 4 wheels, nobody would have cared less, because it had 2 front wheels that do the steering, which is like, why would you do that? It doesn't matter. It just made it look instantly groovy.
I think as well in the 60s, Sylvia Anderson was presented with a real life size one by Rolls Royce. I saw some articles. I could be wrong on that, but there was definitely a full size mock up. Now, like a lot of the toys that came out in the 60s, and especially the Thunderbirds, Dinky Toys made versions of Lady Penelope's Rolls Royce, and it was one of their top sellers. Like a lot of Dinky Toys, it had firing missiles that can go missing really easily. It had little figures in it that again can go missing really easily. And getting one these days, which is nice with a good paint job and all the accessories, is actually very hard.
Yeah, exactly right. Chrissy said, yeah, the extra front wheels make it look front heavy. Obviously, when they're doing it as a puppet, they go, you know what, it doesn't matter. It looks groovy. And I don't know who came up with the idea of putting the extra set of wheels on, but hey, it was a very smart move on their part to do so. But you are right. As a dinky toy, like that one down here, this one here, you can imagine that having a massively high price tag on that. What do you reckon, dude?
Yeah, you look at these on eBay now, or where they're in collectible shops, and they're usually selling in the UK, and they're usually between sort of 200 and 500 pounds. So you're looking at almost $1,000 to get a nice one.
Yeah.
Now, the design is so iconic that it's been released many times over the years. It's been released as model kits quite a bit. The most interesting one is the Japanese model kit in the center at the bottom there, where they go, nah, pink Rolls Royce doesn't look so great. We'll go for a blue one instead. And they've repainted it. Interestingly, if you were a kid, you'd be pretty disappointed, because you can see the blue box, when you open it, there's still a pink Rolls Royce inside.
Oh, yeah. Well, then you've already bought the thing, so you're a bit out of luck, aren't you?
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you had the blue one and the pink one and you go, oh, do you know what? I like the blue one. You take the blue one home and there's still a pink one inside. So I thought that was quite a cool marketing tool to get maybe more people to buy it.
So how it works is like when Penelope's in the car, it turns pink, and then when she buggers off to go to a big function, Parker presses a button and the thing turns blue, and he's out there trying to pick the chicks up because it's a blue car now instead of a pink one. So, and you got to admit, a Rolls Royce, especially back in the day, because they were considered like the top-notch cars of the world. Yeah, it would have been pulling in the babes. What can I say? For those who didn't know, for in Thunderbirds, the movie that Jonathan Frakes did like 10 years ago or whatever, Rolls Royce simply said, nah, you're not using the license to do Fab 1 for that. So they had to make it out of a Chrysler, and it completely, even though they did the 6 wheels and the pink and everything, not even remotely close to looking as iconic as the original Fab 1. So that would have been a bummer dude moment.
Can you imagine Lady Penelope driving a Chrysler? I don't think she wouldn't have got into that car.
Yeah, it'd be like a 6-wheeled version of a Daewoo. It's just not either you got a Rolls or you got nothing. So yes, very, very groovy. Now earlier on, so yeah, the old Fab 1, can't say no to that. And I'm sure someone's running around with the Fab 1 number plate here. Now earlier on, I didn't put on the thing, but we were talking about vans earlier. So it had the old Mystery Machine. It looks very, very groovy. But hey, if super colored vans aren't floating your boat, just get the van, paint the damn thing black, and you end up with something cool like this.
The A-Team van, it's another one of those classic cars, and it's one of those things that always mystifies me. I think in some episodes it has a grey top, and some episodes it just looks all black. I don't know if it's a trick of the light or what, but the A-Team van is another one of those iconic cars from the 80s that everyone knew as soon as they saw it, and you kind of see the A-Team van and you instantly hear the theme from the A-Team going through your head.
Yeah, exactly right. Just winding back the conversation, Gavin asked, did the blue Rolls sell better than or less than the pink one? Do you actually know?
I don't. There's probably no sales details on something like that. Yeah.
Nothing. Remember, Gavin, nothing that a can of spray paint won't fix. And Moneybags has always said, yep, he always wanted the van. I totally agree with you. Black, red, and grey any day. I absolutely love it. So, yes, very, very cool, but you'd expect that from these cool dudes.
Yep, and the A-Team, much like some of the other cars from the period, was actually merchandised quite well at the time. So the A-Team had a line of action figures that were the same size as Star Wars, and it also had the van, and we haven't pictured, there was helicopters and other things that were part of the line as well. I do vividly remember when the A-Team came out that some of my friends got them, and like the A-Team would be fighting the Imperials in Star Wars just because they were the same scale. I do remember the A-Team van smashing into the Imperial attack base and collapsing it down and driving over stormtroopers, which you could just imagine that's what B.A. Baracus would probably do.
Yeah, exactly right, which is particularly groovy. Yes, which is good stuff. Howling Mad Murdoch was the best. It was a very, very popular show, no matter how big your guns are. Don't worry, you ain't going to kill anybody.
Being a sci-fi fan, I liked the A-Team, but the best thing for me was seeing the Cylon in the opening credits every week.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
that was very cool. Now, the A-Team van has become one of those iconic cars that has been merchandised. The one I couldn't believe and I didn't know, last year, Playmobil. So this is for preschoolers. Playmobil released an A-Team van. That's in the top right-hand corner there. There was the A-Team van and the A-Team figures for Playmobil, which kind of supports my theory. Toys aren't bought for kids anymore. They're just bought for adults that still love playing with toys. Now, there's a lot of different A-Team vans there. The one on the top left isn't actually a van. It's a playhouse in the shape of the A-Team van. So I don't know if you know any of those play tents that sort of have the poles that make the shape, and then you put like a plastic or a canvas sort of drape over them. But there was an A-Team one that the kids could get in and camp out inside. There's also a driving battery-operated full size for kids A-Team van, which looks kind of more like a four-wheel drive than an A-Team van, but it is meant to be the A-Team van. They've made a pop version of the A-Team van with a massively too big Mr. T popping out the top of it, which could be a useless pop, really, couldn't it? And there's the Matchbox size one. There has been kit versions. There's, of course, the more adult die-cast one for adult collectors. And, of course, what we've said before, with the Mad Max car, they've also done the dirty version, which is basically the same way of dirtying up the side of the car and selling it as a new product when they want to sell two of the same thing.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Rusky Babes. There are the A-Team, they're hiding them from the arm and the FBI, but they're driven this fancy-looking van with good old B.A. Baracus. And I don't know who this is. Random Rick Reviews. I just thought I'd put this one in. I think I was trying to attend our local school and the A-Team wasn't having it. So I don't know who Random Rick is, but it's good to have you joining the show, Mr. Random Rick. I hope you're absolutely enjoying it, which is particularly groovy stuff. How good is that? Good. Now, okay, so we're going for something a bit modern. We're going to go right back in time. And I've got to admit, in terms of practicality, this does not fit the cut of the mold at all, but it would look so good. And as a kid, you go, oh, I've got to have me one of these. Of course, it was from the Flintstones. Fred Flintstone's car. How grouse was this?
Which is actually, and I didn't know this till I was doing this episode, it's called the Flintmobile.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know where they got that name from, but they probably did it for the movie. But I love the fact that it can't turn, right? There's just no steering on it whatsoever.
Yeah, and the brakes are only as good as the soles of your feet.
Yeah, and sometimes you would actually get sore feet, and you have a look, and they're all steaming and all the rest of it. And if you want a roof like a sunroof, you like the dog can stick his head through it. It was great seeing that. I always loved seeing his car on in the show as a kid. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and I know, like, the movie was a bit of a miss for me, but the one thing I did like about the movie was they kept all the designs from the cartoon as closely as they could, and the car did look absolutely amazing as a full-size, real-life, live-action car that the actors drove around in. That was quite an amazing thing to see, really.
Yeah, and I love the fact, with you look at the back here, I mean, realistically, that back could just roll off because there's no actual part holding the axle in, but, you know, yeah. Yabba dabba do. Absolutely fantastic. So, very good stuff.
And again, it's one of those cars that has been around in toy shops for years and years and years. The one on the right is one of the older versions for the 60s and 70s when the Flintstones originally sort of came out and was popular. So you could get a retro toy of the Flintmobile, and it is quite a hard car to find. But then there have been all different levels, from the high-end collectible ones to even statues of Fred Flintstone's car with the rest of the family, from places like Franklin Mint and things like that. So the cheapest ones you can get are down in the middle there. You've got the Matchbox one. The Matchbox is quite reliable on just about any iconic car. They will whack it out and get the license to it. And then, of course, you do have the sort of high-end ones for car collectors that like to have something that looks accurate and display a nice version of the car.
Yeah, I always wondered, like, it has back seats, but although this version here kind of doesn't have back seats, and that version up here doesn't have back seats, but this version does. So he seems to have different varieties of vehicles depending on what it is he's trying to achieve.
Yeah, so it hasn't changed much over the years. This is merchandise that was released for the movie, and it's very similar to the original design and original concept. In fact, they're probably interchangeable. The most interesting one there is at the center bottom, which is an inflatable pool version of the car, which is really funny because it's meant to be meant out of rocks, so it would sink straight to the bottom. But you can lounge around in your pool in Fred Flintstone's car.
The problem is, if you try to stop it, you got to put your feet through it to make it move. You're gonna have that sinking feeling very, very quickly. So, absolutely love it. So, yes, definitely one of the things I remember more than from the Flintstones that I really, really enjoyed. The car that he was herbing around with. So there you go. Yeah, you're right. The car, they change the seats with every scene. And as a kid, of course, you don't even notice that. So yeah, very, very cool. Now, this is something that you want to say something?
No. I was just
okay.
agreeing.
So this is actually very important. Now, we actually do listen to people who are talking to us, right? We take everything on board. When people make suggestions, we listen to them. When they want to see things, we listen to them. And for that reason, we're going to put this in. Because Rusky Babes tonight, when we're advertising this episode, he said he wants to have lots of supercar action this week. Over to you, Mr. Aaron.
So I looked up supercar, did some slides, but the fun factoid of the week is supercar will not be featured. Supercar will not.
You're out of luck, Rusky Babes. You're not getting it, son. So we're going to move right along on to Knight Rider.
So Knight Rider Kit. Kit is, when you think of the iconic cars from the 80s, you've got the A-Team, you've got the A-Team van. Yay.
By the time you was put the exclamation marks in, we'd moved on to the next slide.
Yes. So when you think of iconic cars from the 80s, there's, of course, the A-Team van, the DeLorean. You've got all these different shows, but probably the best show.
Everything you say to us, audience out there, we listen to everything.
Yeah, we listen to it. We listen to it.
We laugh at the pain of our audience.
Yes. So while you're looking up interesting facts about supercar and your Funk and Wagnalls, we've moved on to Knight Rider, the David Hasselhoff vehicle, about the vehicle.
Yeah, and once again, because it was a Trans Am car that they produced, and I actually had a friend of mine many years ago actually bought a Trans Am from that year. It was just a normal car, right? And it was converted to right-hand drive and all the rest of it. And if you're going to do a spunky car, as we discovered with Back to the Future and all these other things, you've got to do a really cool one, and you can't knock a black one, which is absolutely spectacular. And I think a lot of people dial into it because of that reason alone. It was very, very hot.
Well, it was one of those things. Knight Rider is one of those shows where...
Where's that? For those who don't know, someone drove into the front of Aaron's store a few weeks ago, right there, and it still hasn't been repaired yet. So there you go. Anyway, continue on, dude.
Knight Rider is one of those shows that feels that it was right on the edge of current technology, where you have a supercar that does amazing things, which is just one step into the future. Interesting thing, Dags, we had a friend, and he was the first person I knew that had a car that would lock with a buzzer. And we thought he had Knight Rider. I don't know if you remember when they came in and when they were new and amazing and everyone was using keys, and he could just do that. We thought that car was as advanced as Knight Rider, because Knight Rider at the time seemed quite futuristic. Now it just seems like, something anyone could have.
So without looking it up and without cheating and without Googling it, what was the very first thing that Michael Knight said when he looked inside Kit? All right, go ahead. All right, dude, over to you.
Wow, I don't know.
No.
I don't know. What was it?
Well, I'm going to wait to see if anybody else knows the answer to the question, but we'll have to wait a few minutes. So in the meantime, go for it.
While Russell types out War and Peace, I'll go on about the cars.
Yep.
Knight Rider had a lot of merchandise produced for it. It was a very popular show at the time and run for a number of years. David Hasselhoff was very popular, but he was at the peak of his popularity, I guess, before Baywatch made him even more popular during the Knight Rider show. These are some of the toys that were produced during the 80s for the original run of Knight Rider. So you've got the oversized car, which was kind of in scale with the A-Team van and the larger vehicles that were produced then. What I think is very cool is the Knight Rider dashboard. Now, we've looked at these dashboard toys before, and basically some company has got a car dashboard, and every time a rocket, spaceship, car, or anything comes out, they just whack new stickers on it and call it the Knight Rider dashboard or the Space 1999 dashboard or something like that. And then we've got, back in the time, they had the Erdl die-cast version, which is quite hard to find as well.
So Gavin said something about the TARDIS, which was wrong, and I've pointed out the others that are wrong. Then he's made a mention about Darth Vader's land room. So I don't know if you looked that up, Gavin, or whether you just dug into your archives of your memory. He actually says it looks like, when he sees the cockpit of the car, it looks like Darth Vader's bathtub, or words to that effect. That's the reason why I brought it up. As a Star Wars fan, straight away I was like, oh my God, that's absolutely fantastic. So that was actually the first thing that Michael Knight said when he looked inside of Kit. But yes, speaking of dashboards, because you were just talking about the dashboard a moment ago. So
exactly.
Very, very cool.
Do you know what car was the evil version of Kit?
No, it'd be obviously Night something, but no, I don't think I was watching it by that point.
Okay,
yes.
it was called Car, Karr.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it stood for. Yeah,
no, I can't remember what it stood for either. But they did have, the evil version of Kit, much like Data and Law. You had Kit and Car, and the fun factoid: when David Hasselhoff was making Sci-Fi classic Star Crash, he said to co-star Carolyn Munro, "I've been offered a show where I drive a talking car. You think I should take it?"
There you go. So yes, we can't. Everybody else has said car, but no one's actually said what it actually stands for. Unless here we go. Knight's automated roving robot. Okay, there you go. That just rolls off the tongue really nicely, doesn't it? So very cool.
There was Party Car as well, Knight Automotive Raving Robot. These are some of the different modern versions of Knight Rider Kit. A lot of them actually come with a little figure of David Hasselhoff as well. Again, there has been many versions of the Matchbox toy. There has been a Lego version, and there was actually a Knight Rider level in the Lego Dimensions game, which is quite interesting to play. And it is very, very cool to put Kit together and then ride around in Lego to the Knight Rider theme as you play the Lego games. The Knight Rider theme was an iconic theme, and it is with a lot of these shows. When you look at the car, you remember the theme because they had some fantastic themes as well. There have been model kits of Knight Rider and Kit. There's also, again, a bobblehead, again with David Hasselhoff's massive head sticking out of the top of Kit, which again makes it a bit of a useless pop, don't you think, Tags?
Yeah, it's a bit stupid, but yes, very good stuff.
The other thing I loved about Kit, he had the same lighting effects as Cylons did from Battlestar Galactica. He also had the same sound effect when it swooped backwards and forwards as well.
Well, that's what made it work. That was the cool thing about it. I mean, you just got sold on it. Even if you didn't know about the Battlestar reference, you go, that's grouse. There's a light at the front of the car. How grouse is that? Yeah. So, very clever addition. So, good stuff. Here we go. Carr's fault was favored self-preservation. That's what got him destroyed. But it is funny that you produce a show. Sorry, you're going to say something?
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah.
One of the cool things, you produce a show where you got an artificial intelligence built into a car, because everybody drives cars, and the thing's talking back to him and all the rest of it. And in fact, he could have conversations with the car, and the car would talk back to him. That is a really, really groovy concept. And I have heard of people who've built replica Kit cars in the US, and they've just come out like absolutely got all the bells and whistles and all the lights of the whole bit, and they've actually recorded the dialogue. I think one guy even got the original actor to record new dialogue to put back in the car. And yeah, you can understand why they're so popular. And but yeah, take the front light out, and it just looks like a normal Trans Am. Put the front the Cylon light in, it looks awesome. So
my interesting encounter with kit was at Universal Studios. They used to have the original kit there, and they had an actor somewhere hidden who would actually talk to you in Kit's voice, and you could ask Kit questions and he would talk to you. And I made him break character. I got in the car and I said, "Oh, Kit, if you really are the car and not an actor, what color are my shoes?" Because obviously the actor couldn't see what shoes. And the actor must have known, and he said to me, "You're wearing white trainers, you little smartass."
Absolutely love it. Gavin's just said, imagine if Kit had a female voice. Well, you could easily do own versions if you wanted. If you were just take the footage, just remove the male voice and put a female voice in, and just see how it works, and just get if somebody did that, to see if it made a difference to the way the thing was presented or not. So
guess what? They actually did do that, because there was a reboot of Knight Rider, and I think it was called Knight 2000 in the year 2000, and there was the original Kit, and there was a new red car, and the red car had a sexy woman's voice.
Yes, of course, that's the way you go, eh? So you wouldn't think you'd give it like the old matron voice from 100 years ago. Yes, Michael, what is it you want now? I don't think that's going to sell tickets to the cinema. God damn it! All you want is one. All I'm trying to do is just drive the bloody car. Get
the pilot of it is quite embarrassing, because it has James Doohan playing James Doohan, and he bumps into the car's door, because it has the opening doors, and because he's dazed and confused, he starts thinking he's Mr. Scott and starts talking like Scotty.
Very good stuff. Well, guess what, guys? It is now exactly 10 o'clock. So we've been at it for 2 hours, and it is actually time for us to wrap up this episode, part 2 of Motor Vehiculars. Don't know if there'll be a part 3 somewhere down the track, but you never know. How good is that? And maybe Supercar can make an appearance or not.
You're a big tease. Oh, not.
Yes, our job is to dangle carrots in front of nerds and get them to salivate. Oh, a supercar-shaped carrot.
So, yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, guys, and having another drive down memory lane.
Oh, very good. Good stuff. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up for this evening. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Any final words before we sign off for the night, Mr. Aaron?
No, it's been fun talking about cars from movie and TV. They're very iconic and bring back a lot of memories.
Good stuff. And as always, if you have a car, you can't take it out of the box, because it didn't come in a box to start with. But get out there, go for a bit of a herb around, and absolutely enjoy life as it is. And if you've got time to drive your car around, drive it down to Aaron's store. Say hello, check out the window that apparently Russell smashed in his kit car, and come in and buy some stuff. But you never know, you might be able to buy some cars. So there you go. All right, guys, we're going to leave you to a party hard rock on, and we'll see you all next week. Don't forget, next Tuesday, Toys on Trial, first episode. Okay, see you guys.
Good night.